Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We got a great show coming up as Courtney Brown will be here to talk remote viewing, UFOs, and a lot more. Dirty Filth is here with another crazy cartoon, and later on in the show, in studio, little Timmy James hanging on out, ready for the big time tonight. Let us say hello to each and every one of you who are in our chat room right now, including Race Fan in the gold medal position, T-Bone with a silver, Luscious Jules with a bronze medal tonight. Hi, Frankie B. Robert Lamoth, Bar Madison, good to see you. Lee the Bee, thank you for coming on in as we continue on with our roll call in the chat room. There's little Timmy James hanging on out. And Little Cam is here. Little Cam will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. That's only after he finishes his workout. He plans 65 reps of 500 pounds 3 times. Yeah. That's during the show while he's listening, by the way. Fast Hemi, how are you? The Andromedan, good to see you. Mel WD40 is here because he knows you cannot remote view without lubing it up to make it nice and smooth. You don't want to remote view in rigidness, that's for sure. So Mel WD40 is lubing us up as we speak. Just another guy named Harry, good to see you. So we continue on with our roll call. There's Light Walkers, how you doing? Kitty Cattywhack. And Necessary Dialogue. Thank you for joining us. Hello there, Thomas Rock. How are you tonight? Jay Truthseeker, Millennium, my man. Nice to see you both here. Kurt M, SJ, Road Flare. Thank you for joining us as we continue on with our roll call. Courtney's in studio. I got you, Courtney. Just doing an intro here. As we continue on with our roll call, Candy is here again. Candy will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Joanne is here. Hi, the unknown. How you doing? Nina Williams, good to see you. Algaray over on Twitch did 47 pull-ups in a minute 30. 47 pull-ups in a minute 30. Yeah, he's jacked tonight. Walter Kochabinski, Bob Thorson, Pam Harris, Linda, nice to see you all here. Number 33 in your program tonight, starting in goal with a 2.48 goals against from Stockholm, Sweden. Lars Jansson, there he is. Akriong, how are you tonight? In the studio. Thank you for coming on in as we continue on with our roll call. There's I'm Hardcore over on X. Thank you for joining us. And who is here next? Let's scroll on down. Eternity Eternal. Mary Marlowe, welcome to SOR Chat. Thank you for joining us. Hi, Susan. Jeremy Jones, good to see you. Lynn60 in Kentucky, welcome to SOR Chat. Dodging 2 twisters to listen to this show tonight. That is amazing. Thank God you're safe. Digger Dog, Carol Amerio, Gizmo, my man, Marty Burback, thank you for coming on in. Happy Wednesday to you. Flubber Lane, good to see you. And who is next on our list here? Scrolling on down. Leacham, good to see you, my friend. Jeff Steve Garvey, he'll hit a home run for you. And let's get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We are going to be speaking momentarily to Courtney Brown, remote viewing UFOs. We're going to get into it all as we speak. We are in roll call on our YouTube side right now as we say hello to Tracy Benna and Dead Fish. Nice to see you both here. We got about 30 seconds. Want to remind everybody that the super chat is open. It's a wonderful way on our YouTube side to support what we do. And Gizmo, thank you very much for kicking things off tonight. We really do appreciate your love and support. So let's continue on here. I also want to remind you that you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag, so check it on out. Hi, Rebecca K. How are you? Matthew Gootka, good to see you. Space Case, thanks for coming on in. Hi, Dragonfly. Throw those horns up, everybody. Let's rock. Listening around the world. This, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I'm your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America. Digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features. Rock the public, read the news wire, check out our site as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Outlets to World Fitness and Happy. And visit Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We have an amazing show coming at you tonight. Researcher, scientist Courtney Brown is going to be here to talk about all things in the fields that we love. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller is here with another spooky story. We're going to follow that up with Little Timmy James and a very busy UFO report. So let's get right to it, because that's what we like to do around here, just jump right into things. Courtney Brown is a mathematician and social scientist who teaches in the Department of Political Science at Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia. Independent of his work at the university, he is also a leading scholar on the subject of remote viewing, as it is done using procedures that were developed by the United States military or procedures that are derivative of those methodologies. Courtney received his PhD degree from Washington University, St. Louis in 1982 in political science, with an emphasis on mathematical modeling. Dr. Brown is the director and founder of the Farsight Institute, that's farsight.org, a nonprofit research and educational organization dedicated to the phenomenon of non-local consciousness known as remote viewing. Oh, this is going to be a good one tonight. I'm very excited to have Courtney Brown on Spaced Out Radio for the first time. Thank you for joining us. How are you?
Hey, I'm great. So you can hear me all right, Dave?
You sound beautiful. Thank you
all
for
right.
taking the time to join us. I wanted to do this with you for a long time, my friend, because every time remote viewing comes up, your name seems to get into the conversation.
Yeah, well, the Farsight is the absolute largest venue for remote viewing anywhere. And that's not in dispute, because we're really the only public venue. There's the only, if you look for people that have done full public projects for remote viewing. So if you want to, there's a lot of people on the internet that talk about them doing remote viewing and things like that. But if you want to see actual projects where people have done it, and they're fully documented on video, it's we're the only place that it's available. Now, all of our stuff, we have like way over 100, like 150 projects that we've done. Everything, absolutely everything that we do is done totally blind, scientifically very clean. That means the remote viewers don't know anything when they do a project. They know nothing. And when we do it, we don't use paper anymore, but it used to be paper and pencil. But we use tablets. So they do their sessions on tablets, and they do everything solo. They using instrument blinding protocols, which is better than blind or double blind. And then we use their final results are recorded live on video, totally alone in the studio. No one's leading them. They're there by themselves. And then after they record their video, they're told what the targets are, which is what we call the target reveal. And you can see with absolute clarity that they didn't know anything. And they were like, what are you talking about? And so we have like every possible project you can imagine we've done. And we have our own streaming service, which is farsightprime.com. Our regular website is farsight.org. But farsightprime.com is our streaming service, and it's run by Vimeo, and it's technically as good as Hulu, Netflix, Disney, Paramount Plus, whatever. And it's the only place that has these full public projects where you can see. So the one thing I want to mention is emphasize with what we do is we do not do anything that's he said, she said. He said, she said is always lies. It's always manipulation. Mainstream news does that all the time. They just say, so-and-so said this, so-and-so, they're reporting XYZ. We show you the raw data, and we do it in a cinematically fascinating way that we've never had anyone complain that our projects are too long. Whether it's half an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, they're glued to their seats. And, the amount of stuff that we show you is based on raw data that you can actually see. And we spent a lot of money and trained for a great long period of time to get all of our viewers able to do this in a cinematically interesting way, solo, blind, everything is absolutely fascinating. And there's just no other place you can get that. So that's, so it's really something. And we have projects that almost all of our projects have stuff that's verifiable. The verifiable components are fundamental to us. So you can see that they're remote viewing because they're describing what you know is a target, even though when they're describing it, they don't know what it is, but you can watch the video, you're seeing it, and you know what it is, and their jaw drops. You're saying, my gosh, how could they be doing that? But at the same time, they often, once you get someone to a location, they then start perceiving everything at the location, including the verifiable stuff and the stuff that's not yet verifiable. So you get the whole story that you otherwise just simply can't get. And you never get the truth out of mainstream news. But with us, you get to see them describe the verifiable data. And then you say, well, okay, they're reviewing. It's really clear. They're describing what's there. And then they keep on going and they tell you the rest of the story, and your jaw just drops. And so, anyway, so I'm glad to be here, but we have a lot of content that's dealing with every possible topic you can imagine, and including a lot of stuff dealing with UFOs or UAPs. And I guess you're going to be asking me about that. So we have tons of things to tell you about.
How did this all begin for you? Because I'm sure when you're going into your scientific classes and study growing up, you're not saying, hey, I want to be able to remote view. You probably didn't even know what it was as a child or even as a student. How did this all begin?
Okay, that's an interesting story. Now, we kept this totally secret until January of 2022. And then we were told that we had to tell everybody what's going on. And so no secrecy. But we have been in direct contact with extraterrestrials for a very long time. And there's the long story cut very short is this planet is a prison planet, and in the galaxy, this planet is a prison planet that's highly controlled by a very negative, very authoritarian fascist group of extraterrestrials. And they have written agreements with the United States government to allow them to operate here in exchange for what they call experiments, which is really a huge human trafficking operation. Now, the existence of these written agreements is really not in dispute. you can Google Haim Eshed, Haim Haim Eshed, Eshed. He was the former head of for 30 years of the Israeli Space Directorate, the Israeli version of NASA. And he gave an interview a little while back where he thought he was going to get away with it because he did it in Hebrew in Israel. But it turned out that a whole bunch of people know Hebrew, and it was immediately translated into a zillion languages. But he in the interview, this is the guy who's the head of the Israeli space director for 30 years. He's also a decorated general, and right now he's a college professor. He detailed the whole thing about the written agreements between the United States government and the extraterrestrials, and the extraterrestrials are doing XYZ, and and so the idea that this stuff is real is, if you objectively look at what is out there, it's very, very, very real. But what happened is, because now Haim Eshed doesn't talk about this as a prison planet, but he does talk about the written agreements and so on. But the group of extraterrestrials that run this place is they run it as basically a farm where they're interested in the beings and the humans, and they have their own needs for it. I won't go into that right now, but I will explain it later if you want. There is another group of extraterrestrials who we call the good ETs. So the bad ETs are the ones with the written agreements, and the good ETs are the ones that we've been working with. I knew them from the beginning. I won't go into my history before that, but when I was growing up, for example, they were just with me all the time. When I went to sleep at night, there was two of these, those gray guys with the wraparound eyes. There were two on my left and two on my right in the bed, around the bed. They just stood guard. They never, I was not abducted. I was never, treated badly. I was appreciative. They were always there. But after that, I was always given instructions what to do. They told me when to start going. When the military program first came out, they wanted me to learn remote viewing through them. There was a lot of other stuff that happened before that, but they wanted me to do that. And so I was told to contact a certain person at a certain time to learn the military routine, the military stuff. And I was told to do it on a certain afternoon, and I called that certain afternoon, and the person said, "It's amazing you're calling at this time." Anyway, so I learned the original procedures that are called CRV for the military, and I wrote 2 books. The first book was called Cosmic Voyage, using that procedure, and then the second one was called Cosmic Explorers. They were bestsellers in their day, but right now they're available as a free PDF from my personal website, CourtneyBrown.com. And that sort of started it. And then from there, I had to sort of kicking and screaming, but I had to form the Farsight Institute, which is a place that both taught the remote viewing stuff and did research into it. And that was started in the 1990s. And then there was a period of time when the government tried to kick us down, but I won't go into that. But it was they normally extinguish or break up all major groups that are interested in the UAP, UFO type of stuff going back decades. But after a while, they ended up breaking up. The military is now split on us. They know that we have direct contacts with the extraterrestrials. We actually have meetings with them. We get our guidance from them. They tell us what to do. We do those things. And this is not hidden. And we record our meetings with them. We actually showed people, there was a time, and starting in January 2022, we showed people how to make video recordings on demand of the of cloaked UFOs. All of the bad ETs use cloaked UFOs. They don't. One aspect of the written agreements is that the UFO phenomena must be kept totally secret. They want no disclosure at all, and that's and the U.S. military has an agreement with them, and they value that. And half of the military values that agreement. The other half wants it broken. So the reason we still exist now is because the side of the military that is keeping us around exists. If the other side of the military that sort of is working with the bad ETs, they want us wiped off the face of the earth. But this we are officially a venue where the good ETs have built up over years a huge library of remote viewing studies where the true history of humanity, the true history of the earth, the true history of everything that's been going on, including major political events, the assassination of John F. Kennedy, the truth about the 9/11 events, Martin Luther King's assassination, huge amount of political stuff. We have done sessions on complete full projects of that. All of our stuff almost has multiple remote viewers, and they don't communicate while they're doing their data collection. And it's amazing to see like 4 or 5 remote viewers describe the exact same thing with no communication among themselves and totally blind to the target. I mean, you got to see it to believe it. It's really great. But we know why remote viewing is difficult for most people. We know the complete story about that. And our job is to get this information through. Now, we are expecting, this is the long story short, believe it or not. We are expecting a major set of crises to occur on the planet, which will temporarily completely crash the information control system of the planet. That's the goal. Now, our side, the good ETs, did not create those crises, but they did. The crises are normally stretched out over a period of like 20 years to keep the planet in constant state of chaos and turmoil so that no one has a chance to focus on what's actually going on behind the scenes. So our side actually crushed moved the crises so that they all happened at the same time. And that's what you're witnessing now. So the disruptions that you're seeing, Europe, Middle East, Iran, it's going to extend into the continental United States. That is all by design. The bad ETs don't want it to happen that way. They want to stretch these things out over 20 years. Everybody stays one crisis after the next in a sequential manner, but only by crushing them so that they all happen at the same time will the information control system collapse. And when the information control system collapses, finally, our side will be able to talk to people and actually get through. And my side, we call the good ETs, they don't like me to use these words, but these are the words that I like to use to describe them. They're free will fanatics. They won't do anything unless you agree. So the only thing they want is disclosure, complete and total disclosure to let everybody know everything. They do not want to govern you. They do not want to control you. They do not want to do anything like that. The bad ETs want that. All our side wants is disclosure, where you get to know everything, and then they want the populace to make a free will choice. Which side do they want to align themselves with? Militarily, within this solar system, our side, the good ETs, are way more militarily powerful than the bad ETs. That's not true of the galaxy. The galaxy is a standoff. But right now, at this moment, our side has way more military resources. However, we're free will people. The only thing we want is disclosure. And once it happens, you make a choice. If the population says, no, we don't like you guys, we were happy the way it was, our side will simply go away. We're not going to force anything. But the bad ETs are taking advantage of that, the fact that we are free will people, and that it's a long story that you can ask me about, but that involves the so-called secret space program and the crash retrieval program, which you've heard congressional hearings about.
We have 4 minutes to go before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Author, researcher, scientist, remote viewer Courtney Brown is our guest tonight. CourtneyBrown.com is his website. Courtney, you mentioned the bad ETs that are the ones really trying to control things here with, the threat narrative that we see going on in ufology or uapology today, whatever you want to call it, because I think there's a real difference between ufology and uapology. We sit there and look at this and we see the same people getting in and out, joining all the same groups, under different names. We see a real, almost like a controlled environment. And, the old saying goes, if you control the medium, you control the message.
Yeah.
You see that happening as we speak with what we're doing. What are they covering up? Whether it's the ETs or whether it's this current disclosure movement, we got about 3.5 minutes.
Well, there's multiple levels to what you just asked. I'll do it. I really will make it short. I'll make it fit within the 3 minutes. But the basic idea is that the bad ETs, they're a fascist authoritarian group, and that what they need is a lot of people. They need people and what we would call isbies, someone who is for the purpose of being, or immortal spiritual beings. You would call it your soul or spirit or anything, but we don't use that because of the religious baggage associated with it. But they need isbies, billions of them. Because what does any fascist totalitarian group do? Look at what happened with Hitler. Look what happened with Genghis Khan. Look at what happened with Napoleon. They invade. They go and they expand. They have an expansionary plan. And they want to expand into the galaxy bigger than they are now. It's a standoff right now, but they go after resources. And my side wants to simply stop that from happening. But that's what they want here. And so what they're involved in now is a huge effort to control the entire prison system of planet Earth in order to keep that population under control. How much time do I have left? If I have a minute left, I can add something to it.
2 minutes.
Okay. Think of the former Soviet Union or China under Mao. What did they do? They kept everybody in. You couldn't escape. Mikhail Baryshnikov, Nureyev, they were ballet dancers. They had to escape in an airport when they landed in Paris for a brief time. You couldn't escape from those places. All prison systems have abilities to keep you in. In this planet, there is a prison system so that when people die, the body, everyone here thinks that the body is a thing. It's just a wrapper. It's just a container. It's nothing. It's meaningless. The real you don't even know it exists. You hope that your soul exists, whatever. That is the real you. And those we call isbies, immortal spiritual beings, but it's just the real personality. So when somebody dies, you've heard this 1,000 million times. The person sees the light. They pop out of the body. They see the light. They get drawn to the light. It feels warm and comfortable. Then they meet with an AI who looks like an angel, and said, "We've been discussing your situation with the Council of Elders. See the Council of Elders over there, and we think you should go back and work on a few personality issues. Remember that arguments you used to have with your mother and things like that." But before that happens, you get a electric bolt that's way higher than lightning. And the ISBI gets rattled. You cannot kill an ISBI, but you can rattle it, you can trap it, you can lie to it, you can trick it. And the AI the ISBI gets rattled. The ISBI loses all memory, and it loses its ability to use telepathy and remote perception, like remote viewing. And so it obviously says, "Sure, that sounds like a good idea. I'll go back and work on those personality issues." And then they get resent back in, the so-called reincarnation cycle. That's how everybody gets kept here. And we're trying to break that all down. We've done a number of major projects on that with our remote viewers under totally blind conditions. So we know a lot about those things. We call them the death traps. But anyway, that all has to come out. It's way more complicated than anything you could possibly imagine. And that's our job, to spill the beans. And we're waiting for that moment, which we hope is like really soon, like this year, when we will have a chance for people to finally look in our direction.
Courtney Brown is here. His website, CourtneyBrown.com. You can find all his research there. We're going to get into remote viewing, bad aliens, good aliens, the narrative. It's going to be a powerful show coming up here on Spaced Out Radio. Stay tuned, everybody. All right, we are clear. Good start, my man. Good start.
Now, when you say the website, don't send them to CourtneyBrown.com. That is mostly for my academic stuff. Send them to farsight.org.
Farsight.org. Okay.
Yeah.
.org. There we go.
And the other website is our streaming service, which is farsightprime.com.
All right.
So one of those two. The ones the websites that are on the video screen behind me, that's farsight.org.
Beautiful.
By the way, that's why I was a little late, a couple minutes getting on. I was trying to navigate StreamYard. There was an issue with the camera, and I was making sure all the computer stuff up in the back was working.
It looks perfect. It looks perfect.
Yeah, if they go to CourtneyBrown.com, they'll see a lot of books and stuff like that, which is more from my academic stuff.
Sure. Not a problem. Not a problem.
Now you can see that my cap that I'm wearing right now. That's so you can see I'm trying to make America great again. I'm only kidding. I just got back from jogging, so I just a cap I'm wearing to anyway.
Good morning, Ian in the UK. I love remote viewing and astral travel.
Yeah, you can ask me a little bit about how it works. That would be fascinating for people.
I don't even know how to astral travel, but I know I can do it because I've done it, and I don't know how I know how. It's a most screwed up thing.
So this is live, is that right?
Yeah, we're live on YouTube, radio, and we record the podcast. So we're doing everything here at once.
Yeah, we do the same thing. We go live and we record it and then print it out as a video.
Right? So I enjoy the terrestrial radio part. That's my education and my background. I find it fun. Radio is my addiction.
It's a great one to have. There's a good thing about being in showbiz at any level. It's just always popping and always fun.
Well, I really fought the whole YouTube thing when it first started getting popular because I wanted to remain a radio guy and I got a face for radio. So, I mean, it was tough for me to try and change over, but you got to move with the times if you want to grow, right?
Yeah, I remember those very early days when they were dealing with 14.7 kilobytes per second, modems when trying to do early radio shows. Do you remember those days?
No, that happened just after I got in. But I could tell you this. When I got into radio, I was still having to edit audio off of old reel-to-reel tapes.
Oh, yeah.
Cut the tape and paste them together.
Yeah. Yeah, that was yeah.
Oh yeah, that was nuts.
That was a pre-digital age.
Oh yeah, and then it just kind of took off, and thank God the internet. I remember when I worked in sports, I asked my sports director, who had been, honestly, he's one of the worst human beings I've ever met. But I asked him, I said, how did you do it back in the day before the internet? And when you were on the night shift, you had to call the press box of every basketball and hockey game or baseball stadium in order to get the updated scores.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That was crazy.
It was fun,
Dave,
though.
don't forget your Ovaltine before you go to bed.
You got that right. All right, we got 20 seconds left here. T-Bone, my man, Human Carl, and Gizmo, thank you very much for the awesome super chats. Greatly appreciate the love and support, guys. Thank you very much. And don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So make sure you check it on out. Here we go. Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for joining us. We're going to get into remote viewing and ET contact with legendary Courtney Brown. First, we want to remind everybody that if you miss portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go. Courtney Brown here, his website, farsight.org. You can learn how to remote view. You can take some tests. You can do all sorts of things if you want to expand your mind and your consciousness. Courtney, thank you so much for being on the show tonight. We greatly appreciate it.
Hey, it's my pleasure. That's why I'm having fun doing it.
Right before the break, we were talking about the controlled narrative from the bad ETs. And I wanted to ask you, who are or what are the bad ETs that are helping control this?
Okay, well, one thing you should say that is that in terms of species, there are species of all types on both sides. But there is one species that is almost entirely on the bad ET side. And they're the ones who run the entire show. They're the reptilians, and they actually look like reptiles. They're big. They're humanoid shaped. But they're huge. They're bigger than you or I, but they're big, and they are definitely reptilian. They have scales and the whole things like that. And they run the entire bad ET show. So every group that's below them is a slave in that system, meaning there are no free will people in that bad ET stuff. And the top of the food chain, so to speak, are the reptilians. But below that, there are insectoids, there are grays, there are a lot of people that just look like you and I, just humanoid, just human type. They're not necessarily human. A lot of them are, but a lot of them are hybrids, but they look like us. But that's what's there now. Except for the reptilians, there are a few reptilians on the good ET side, but most of the reptilians are on the bad ET side. But in the galaxy, there are lots of places where there are very fine reptilians. It's just that in this particular area, the bad ETs, the top of the food chain, are reptilians. On our side, the so-called good ET side, all the species exist as well, including a few reptilians. But there are grays, there are insectoids. There's lots of people. The people that we normally meet with in our meetings are humanoid, just like you and I. If they were standing right next to you, you wouldn't tell the difference. You'd think they were human. But there are also grays in the group as well, and sometimes they meet with us as well. They're all friendly. We know them by name. We've been working with them. I, in fact, have a daughter that lives on the ship. It's on the ship. I was not a philanderer. I did not go around the galaxy having sex with ETs and have a daughter that way. I'm sure she was a test tube type baby, but she has part of my genes. And she's when I have to go to the ships, which is quite often, to get information of things that we're supposed to do. She's normally the one I interact with. She's a hybrid. She's part gray and part human. And I think that they mixed the genes on purpose so that there would be a really perfect, smooth telepathic connection between us, so that when she gives me all the information, which is a lot every single time, I get it all. I think that's why they did that. Anyway, I love her. I think she's really great. And I have, of course, a son here on Earth who's fully human, so that's his half sister on the ship. And anyway, so Yeah. Dave, what was your question again?
To who or what the bad
Oh,
ETs.
yeah.
I think you
Yeah.
described that perfectly, that it's a multitude of what or who they are. You know, the control that they want to have of this planet, as you call it, a prison planet, is that because they don't want us to connect consciously to the universe?
No, this is a prison. This is where people are thrown. Nobody that's on this planet came from this planet. They all came from someplace else, and they've all been processed by the death traps. So they don't remember anything, and they don't have easy telepathic capabilities, and they don't. The information control system is very oppressive on this planet. The bad ETs have all of the political and corporate leaders under their belt through every possible means. Sometimes it's mental manipulation. That's very common, but other times it's bribery and everything else that you can possibly think of. But they control the system, and the system is so completely controlled, there's nothing that can do to break through. So my side simply cannot break through. It's not like that if we can say, if we just had a few more whistleblowers coming out of, look, the whistleblowers that have been coming through, like Lou Elizondo, David Grush, and so on like that, and congressional hearings. You don't have congressional hearings about something that doesn't exist. But the whistleblowers, that has made no dent whatsoever. I'll give you another example, the so-called drones that appeared. We record our meetings, our board meetings with the extraterrestrials every month. And on November 13th, we had the meeting and they told us they were going to start showing up in huge numbers of ships all over the planet. And it's going to start, and they were told that on the 13th. It took us a couple of days to edit the video and get the audio right. And there's 6 cameras and multiple, so it's a complicated thing. And then on the 15th, we published that. On the 18th of November is when the drone thing exploded all over the place. And they had drones everywhere. And there were thousands upon thousands of these so-called ships. And a lot of them were total anomalies that you couldn't even, some of them were human-built stuff, but most of them were ET stuff. And they were trying to get your attention. But the whole reason for that was a different thing. They were trying to get your attention. And the government openly stated, first of all, they said it was like mostly over New Jersey and stuff like that, but it was a worldwide. They were all over the place, and they were flying over restricted airspace, over military installations. They were flying all over the East Coast. They were also flying on the West Coast, Australia, Africa, Asia. They're everywhere, all over Europe, over military bases in Britain. But the reason that it was happening is to tell everybody why disclosure has to happen in a different way than people said, because people always said, all you need to do is show up with the ships. And no one could go past that. So they said, okay, we'll show up with the ships. We'll show you what happens if we show up with the ships. And now initially the government came out with, I have trouble saying it without laughing. I'll try to do it this time. They said they had a congressman come out on Fox News say, we have it from the top. We know what it is. I'm sorry. It's an Iranian mothership. And the mothership was using Chinese tech, and it's an Iranian mothership launching all these drones. Anyway, that lasted for 2 hours. And then the Pentagon completely took it back and said, no, that's not what's going on. And then a little while later, like a week or so later, they came out with another story. It was a Chinese mothership that was doing it, to show that they could fly anywhere over the United States with impunity. And that actually got some traction. That story was featured heavily on the Sean Ryan podcast, which is a very big military podcast on YouTube. I love Sean Ryan podcast, but that's where it got some traction. But eventually that sort of went away as well. And then finally Donald Trump was told, and he came out and said, those are all experimental aircraft that were authorized by the FAA. And then the whole news story went away completely. Now, that's so preposterous. Every single one of them, the Iranian mothership, the Chinese mothership, the Chinese have no motive to put those drones all over the United States. And then the whole idea of FAA experimental aircraft, it was worldwide. The FAA has no jurisdiction over all the other places all over the world that those things were flying. Besides, those drones had no heat signature. A lot of them were flying crazy erratic. They did not, and none of them had transponders. And anything bigger than those small DJI drones that kids play with has to have a transponder. So it was clear as day that these were thousands of them that were up there. And then in a later broadcast, in December, they told us the next thing is big ships, but they didn't say when the big ships would happen. And then a couple months later, it was actually it was the March ET broadcast, the meeting that we had. They said the reason we did this, I want you to understand, is we had to show you that it wouldn't make any difference. The entire UFO disclosure thing didn't happen. We were out with thousands and thousands of these ships. Nothing happened. It's completely wiped off the news. And a simple statement from the president that they were just experimental aircraft authorized by the FAA completely dismissed the entire thing. And we didn't show up with like one or two ships. There were thousands upon thousands upon thousands of these things all over the world. It made no difference whatsoever. So what they were trying to say, and they told us point blank, we had to show you that the information control system is complete. It doesn't matter what we do if it comes out within the context of the information control system of this prison planet. We're not going to be able to get it through. It's not going to make a difference because everybody is hypnotically attuned to mainstream media and the political leaders. They always look to the political leaders to get an answer for what this is. Like they're all like fixed on it, and that's it. And so no matter what we do, you're going to get the exact same response. And so if you say, well, you just had to do more ships, what, 10,000 ships is not enough for you? So the issue is the only way disclosure will work is if you have a complete collapse of the information control system. Now, the authorities will be able to resurrect that and get it working again, but there'll be the period of time when the complete collapse will occur. And when that happens, there'll be a window when our side can actually get to people and they will stop focusing on the leadership. They will stop focusing on the mainstream news and they'll listen. They'll see us and they will recognize that we're friendly. And then we can talk and we can explain what's actually going on. And then we can engineer a free will decision. You decide what you want us to do. If you want us to go away, we will go away. But then you're stuck in this system, and it's a prison system. You have to understand the entire issue that's been kept from you for literally thousands of years. But we would like it if you aligned with us. We have the military ability to take care of the bad ETs, to kick them out. But we cannot do that unless you ask us to do it. And we cannot get the leadership to do it, because they're completely co-opted by the bad ETs. We need to have the masses do it. So this is a revolution from below. Now, a good section of the military has been keeping us around. We could not exist. Let me tell you point blank, we could not exist as big as we are. We're the largest venue for remote viewing anywhere. And we could not exist if somebody in the military wasn't protecting us. I'm not saying which group or which person or whatever, what people are doing it, but they could snuff us out in a blink of an eye. And the side of the military that's aligned with the bad ETs, they have cooperative arrangements with the bad ETs in exchange for the ability to run these basic human trafficking operations. They get a reverse tech. So, and if you listen to David Grush, Lou Elizondo, and others, whistleblowers that have been coming out in congressional hearings, the existence of the crash retrieval program is not in dispute. So UFOs crash, and then military people go out, they gather up the ship and survivors, the so-called non-human biologics, which is really crazy. These are my friends. I grew up with these people, but they collect the non-human biologics and they collect the ships. The ships they take places like Area 51 and the people they give to the bad ETs.
Do you buy the whistleblower testimony? Is it necessary to move the ball forward?
It is necessary. It's a good thing that's happening, but it's not enough. It's within the information control system, and it gets bounced off the front pages as soon as it ends. Like you heard the stuff with Lou Elizondo and also David Grush. David Grush still has his Pentagon security clearance. Now, with David Grush, he has never said anything in these congressional hearings that was not authorized by his office in the Pentagon. He still works there. So every single thing he says has been authorized. Down the hall in the Pentagon, another office will say, "We don't know anything about that. There's no evidence of extraterrestrials whatsoever." So you see, the Pentagon is split. One half is in complete denial mode, and the other half is saying this has got to come out. So it's a conflicting situation. It does help to have the testimony coming out, but it's totally not enough. It's still within the information control system. So after someone like David Grush gives a lot of talk, as soon as he's off the airways, boom, it's gone. And no one's asking the questions again. The mainstream media is not reporting it. There's only one mainstream source that actually reports any of it in a reasonable way, and that's News Nation on YouTube. And News Nation, that's where Chris Cuomo works and things like that. But News Nation has a correspondent called Ross Coulthart, who's trying his best to get this information out. He's not getting very deep. He's only getting to the point of, do they exist? Are we alone in the universe type of stuff? But he's trying his best in terms of stuff like that. He was Donald Trump Jr., the son of Donald Trump. He has his own podcast, and Ross Coulthart, the reporter for News Nation, actually was Donald Trump Jr.'s guest on Donald Trump's podcast. And you could see that Ross Coulthart was really pressing Donald Trump Jr. on all this stuff. And Donald Trump Jr. clearly was very interested in the entire topic. And so clearly within the White House, they talk about it. But the amount of pressure that they're under is to keep this thing off the mainstream is tremendous. It's not going to come out. Your disclosure situation is not going to come out by having the whistleblowers testify before Congress. That's helpful, but it's not enough. You need a complete collapse of the entire system, and that's coming. That is coming. It has to do with all these crises. I'll talk about that if you want. But that's all these crises that you see bursting in the world all over the place in the Middle East. It's going to be in Iran, Europe, and stuff like that. That's the crisis that you're talking about that'll completely shatter everything. And then we will be able to get your attention, because that's when the hypnotic spell that locks you on to whatever the leaders are saying and the mainstream media is reporting can be broken temporarily. And that's when we'll have our chance to talk to you.
That's amazing. We got 6.5 minutes before we have to go to break at the top of the hour. Courtney Brown is our guest tonight. Farsight.org is his website. I guess where I'm kind of a little bit fidgety in putting full support behind the whistleblowers is a lot of them are saying, Courtney, everything that ufology has been saying for decades, but because they have the whistleblower title, it seems to give them a little bit more credibility, whether it's psionics, whether it's UFOs landing, UFO bodies and everything. This is stuff we have learned, prior to 2017 when everything changed. I get that these guys are getting more press. They're bigger names, the way they are doing it. But the way that they are playing off that this is very new and extraordinary, I find that very tough to take as somebody who is educated in this field.
You're totally correct, but it's even worse than that. Because everybody, with all the disclosure stuff, with all of the whistleblower stuff, it's all still focused on, are we alone in the universe? Are the UFOs real? Are there really non-human biologics? Things like that. So the issue is very clear about that. These are official Pentagon people willing to testify. A lot of these people have very deep knowledge. Their credentials are spectacular. There's a new one that's come out, a guy called Barber, is his last name, and he's been interviewed extensively on News Nation. He was actually one of the people that was actually working with the crash retrieval program to actually get the ships and take them to places like Area 51 with helicopters and things. So, but what they're not asking is, okay, so what have the ETs been doing all these years? They're still focused on, do they exist? And it's always a consequence. It's always the same old idiotic question: do they exist? I mean, how much? There's not any. There's hardly anything more that we could possibly do to tell you that they exist. But that's where the story starts and ends. Are we alone in the universe? But as soon as you get past that and say, okay, they exist, the very next question is, okay, then what have they been doing for the last 2,000 years? That's the question that the authorities don't want you to ask. So they want you to be constantly spinning your wheels on, are we alone in the universe? Do the UAPs exist? That's the whole thing. That's not even a fraction of the thing. That's the question that's stopping you from asking the big questions, which is, what have they been doing? And that's what you need to know, because this system really is a prison planet. It's run just like a prison, and you can't get out of it. And there's a cycling back in and in and in, and we're trying to break the prison down. And we can do it if we can just get disclosure, but it's going to require a complete collapse of the system. And I'm talking complete collapse of the system for this to work.
The system has to collapse. Because we got about 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes.
Well, there's a lot of pieces in it, and we've not been told the exact elements, but I'm putting 2 and 2 together. They're careful with what they tell us, because we often project out. Like, for example, in December, our December board meeting, which was recorded on video, and we publish these things both on YouTube as well as our streaming service, farsightprime.com. And they told us the next thing is going to be big ships. Now, they did not say when the big ships will happen, but we immediately jumped to the conclusion like, oh, okay, well, the drones came out just a few days after we had the meeting, so I assume that the big ships will come out in a few days. So we have to, we're so anxious to get this thing moving as well, we have to be careful. One of the lessons that we've had to learn is only report what they tell us, don't fill in the gaps. So, with regard to sort of like next steps, I'm guessing at this point, but this is what I'm sensing, and this is what I'm putting together. They've not told us the exact things that are going to be happening, because they've told us that the actual specific incidents are going to change because the bad ETs are trying to compensate for it. And so both sides are adapting as you go on. But the major things that I can see going on right now is the Israeli, Iranian, U.S. confrontation that's supposed to be happening like within days, I suppose. But as of right now, the U.S. is piling in unbelievable levels of military equipment in Qatar. And we also have the base in Diego Garcia. Iran officially has told its military to prepare for a very soon preemptive strike to knock out Diego Garcia, because they know the U.S. and the Israelis are going to attack Iran. And the real question is, it's not a question of if it's going to happen. It's just a question of when. So this time the Iranians are actually thinking of trying to attack first. The U.S. and the Israelis know that. So right now there's a game of who can prepare fast enough and who's going to be the first one to do it. They don't want to attack before they're totally ready, but both sides are preparing it. And one of the things that I was able to gather from the Sean Ryan podcast on YouTube, from the intelligence people that he's been bringing on, is that Iran has gotten, I don't know, a couple thousand at least operatives during the last few years, when they had basically an open borders situation. Iran basically got a few thousand operatives into the United States, plus missiles. within the continental United States, there are missiles. Now, people can say, what do you mean there's missiles? Look, they bring drugs into the United States in 18-wheelers.
Hold that thought. We're going to come back. We got a break here at the top of the hour. Courtney Brown taking us down to long. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, Courtney, we are clear. We're going to turn things over to Dirty Filth here. You get to watch him draw a cartoon here for the next little bit. And we got about 5.5 minutes, okay?
That's great. You must have a big audience. How big is your audience?
When we add in terrestrial radio, anywhere between 175 and 200.
Yeah.
Great. Load me up on the big screen there, Dave.
All right, there you go.
Oh, now I got all the pressure on me. Excellent. Put that over there for the cat to destroy. Let's see how fast I can draw a gray alien. Let me get my pencil crayons out here, everybody. This is probably unexpected, and it's too bad because you're here for about 6 minutes. So let's see if I can knock it out of the park. Gray alien. Yes. All right, here we go. I lost the pencil that I was using previously. Oh, wait, no, there it is. It's all over the place. Gray alien with a dossier of notes. There's his dome. There's all scrawny gray alien there. Sneaking away. Dossier worth of notes. Look at that. There he is. You know what? Forgot his nose holes. How's he going to smell his way out if he needs to? Then he's reaching over. He's pushing the button. Passcode to get out of there. Not sure what the passcode is. Someone's going to have to think up some numbers. And maybe remote viewing people tell me what they are. Here he goes. Still hasn't figured out the numbers yet. Nobody's told me the numbers. Anyways, so here he is. This exit. Nice. He's got his documents. Hopefully everybody rolled the dice really well. And he gets to make his way home. Let's color a little bit of color in here. Anyways, also on top of that, if you go to filthy.com, FYLTHY.com, scoop one of my books. Buy one. Actually, just buy it for your mom, and then you can go visit your mom, and then you can look at my cartoons while you're there. Anyways, here's one of the gray aliens escaping the dungeon. The exit of doom. There you go. Anybody that rolls RPGs and rolls dice and junk, you could do that for a science fiction battle. Perhaps it turns out to be one of your pals. Who knows? There's an NPC for you. Anyways, hope everybody's having a good night. I'm actually going to have to turn this one into a... Yeah, the little spy camera over there. They're watching you, Buster. Look at that. Anyways, rambling away here. Jewels of the Woods, love you. You're great. I hope Mark Sanchez is listening. By the way, if Mark Sanchez is listening, I hope you're wearing your fancy Hawaiian shirt. And don't forget, Mark Sanchez, Dirty Filth is on your team. 1 million Macho Man %. Oh, by the way, hold on a second. There you go, Mark Sanchez. Oh, I got my Remembrance Day thing on there. Hey, Dave, Mark Sanchez special. He gave me this.
This collection of Hawaiian shirts.
2022. Yeah,
That's
what
right.
a beauty.
I got a bunch of those here. All right.
I scribbled a cartoon halfway through, by the way, Dave.
All right. Hillbilly Herb, how are you? What in tarnation? Nice to see you. All right. We are caught up there. You having fun, Courtney?
Yeah, this is a great. So that's showing up on your show, right?
Yes, on the YouTube side, yes.
That's great.
Yeah, we like to do things a little bit differently here because the radio audience doesn't get to see things. They don't get to see Dirty Filth's creations or anything like that. But we like to do it a little bit different here, and Filthy here adds a lot of awesomeness to it.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
All right, have a good night, gentlemen. Have a good night, everybody.
So always good to see you. John Jackson, how you doing? And we got 30 seconds. Thank you to Walter, T-Bone, Human Carl, and Gizmo for your great super chats. Greatly appreciate your love and support. Also, remember to hit subscribe, ring that bell if you are new here, checking things out for the first time. Appreciate your time. And don't forget to give us a follow if you're listening in on X or on YouTube. Hit subscribe, ring that bell. We are here 7 days a week for your listening entertainment. Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived. Here we go. Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. Always appreciate your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Happix. Happix is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. From farsight.org, one of the top remote viewers in the United States. He's brilliant. He's had ET contact. Courtney Brown is with us, and we are continuing this amazing conversation about ufology, where it's going, the direction, the everything to do with the narrative that is being played. Courtney, thank you for taking time out. We got you for another hour here.
Hey, I'm enjoying myself.
Thank you. I appreciate that. For you, when you look at this entire system that is going on right now, being that you claim we're on a prison planet, that there's good ETs versus bad ETs, the people, never mind the government, the people who are having ET contact out there, who claim that it's good, they're getting downloads, they're feeling the peace, love, and light, they're finding their spirituality, they're finding their mass consciousness, everything that goes along with that. Are they being played? Are they being played by the bad guys?
Yes, that's exactly what's happening. Their memories are being affected. They are being manipulated. The bad ETs are involved in a huge genetic engineering project where they've been combining, it is the so-called abduction phenomenon. They've been combining the issues of mixing genes from the Greys with the genes from the humans. And the humans are genetically designed, there's other reasons as well, but the humans are genetically designed to have telepathy and remote viewing perception suppressed. So in order to fully control the planet, they need people that look like us. They look human, but who have their telepathy and remote perception capabilities still intact. To do that, they had to mix the gray genes with the human genes. And it was very delicate. By the way, the reptilians are the best in terms of genetic engineering. They're really good with that. and they work with, the slave populations that work with them are also gray, but also insectoid. They're really good at implementing that. And the whole abduction phenomenon is all oriented around that. And they place memories in people so that they always think that they're contributing, that it's voluntary and things like that. The story, and you hear this a lot in the New Age channeling community that is totally corrupted by the bad ETs, that they get these channels. Then the human channels are the best people in the whole world. They're really wonderful. They're angels, but they're gullible, and the bad ETs are not going to miss something like that as an attack vector to help control the planet. So they have these personalities that are wonderful, bubbly personality. Hello, how are you today? And they go in and they talk, and they talk to you, and they have large audiences, and they have, big meetings in various great places, Sedona and California and places like that. But the whole idea is that this is not, it comes across as like a single ET sitting in a room in a ship somewhere having a chat with the human channel. And the human channel is they enter the human channel's mind, and then they take over the brain, and they take over the body, and they animate and they talk. It's all crap. They're definitely ETs, and the human channels are doing what they're saying, what they're doing. But these ETs, they've had millions of years of advancement over the humans. It's not a single person sitting in a room on a ship. It's a collective thing. Like even a group that I think has actually been quite helpful and good. The Abraham that was channeled by Esther Hicks with the so-called law of attraction. That was a very useful thing. But even that, Abraham admitted to being a collective entity. So when you said, now I'd have no troubles with the Abraham entity. That was a very useful group. But when you hear these other channels that are coming, they're not a single, they come across as a single ET working alone, like freelancing. That's not what's happening. A lot of those meetings are carefully scripted by AIs, carefully scripted by multiple organizations. Every single word is manufactured to be exactly what they want, to give exactly the impression that you're supposed to get. The whole New Age community has been just totally brainwashed, and it's very difficult to talk with them because they trust their good feelings. But these are ETs that have had millions of years to finesse this. That's exactly what they're good at doing, of making whole communities, blissfully happy. What better prisoners do you have than prisoners that think everything is wonderful and they're talking to these higher realms of consciousness and all that kind of stuff? It's good to just sort of realize that everything is much more practical in real life. It's not this sort of multi-level advancement of ascension and all the New Age buzzwords. None of that's going on. It's real practical. There are two different sides, and one side is manipulating. This is not a prison with bars like a human prison with cement and bars. It's a psychological prison. That's the modern way to control large populations like this. It's a psychological prison, and you control the people by a whole bunch of different processes. The death traps, after death experience, getting hit by like a bolt of lightning, getting rattled, losing your telepathic and remote perception capabilities, having an AI insert memories, you come back. That's one element. There's also a psi suppression field over the entire planet. And if you know anything real, that's not in dispute. And the Soviet Union, when they were sending up cosmonauts, one of the first discoveries they made is that telepathy is easier in space. So the cosmonauts could communicate telepathically among themselves in space more easily than they could on Earth, indicating that there is a psi suppression field in addition to everything else. The information prison would break down if people could remote view and perceive. So these specialized procedures of remote viewing had to be developed so that people could break past these barriers. Remote viewing, remote perception, telepathy, that's the normal way of communicating in the galaxy. When we meet with the ETs, it's all telepathic communication, and the communication is perfect, as clear as a bell. And when they don't use like words like the English language. They communicate mentally, and if you have the captain of a ship saying we want to do something, she doesn't say, okay, commander, send that, put the ship and let's put the let's put the coordinates in there to head 90 degrees east or something. They don't do anything like that. They just think about it, and it comes through clear as day without any ambiguity whatsoever. And that's totally been lost in humanity. They don't have that ability anymore. So there's a whole level of sort of confusion on that level. Then in addition to that, there's complete control over the media, so that the mainstream news reports just junk. Now, we've had lots of congressional hearings on the extraterrestrial. Go to CNN, go to MSNBC, go to Fox News. Where can you find a story about that now? It's gone. What happened to the drone story, where literally thousands of drones were flying all over the planet without transponders, no heat signatures? The whole thing is gone. The information control is absolutely total. So the only thing that can happen is you have to break the hypnotic trance that people have when they focus on the leadership. Whenever something happens, they always look to the president. What happened? They have that person say it. And that hypnotic trance has to be broken. And so the whole system has to collapse. Now, this part has not been told to me. They've told me that they won't tell us the exact sequence of events because the bad ETs are trying to compensate for everything that the good ETs are trying to do. So you see this going on. You'll see what looks like negotiations are going to work out between Ukraine and Russia and Donald Trump and the US. And then 2 days later, they completely collapse, and they're saying it looks like there's going to be peace and Armageddon won't happen. Then it comes back 2 days after that. So there's back and forth going on. But what I'm thinking is going to be happening, and they haven't told us the exact events. They specifically said don't speak about exact events because things are changing on a day-to-day basis. But you can talk about the result that we're trying to get, which is a complete collapse of the system. If I'm putting 2 and 2 together, and this is me talking now, not the ETs, okay? I'm assuming the attack on Iran is going to happen. The Israeli media has already been informed, and they're reporting it on Israeli media that the attack will happen really soon, like within days. The Iranians, this is not a secret anymore. The Iranians have authorized their military to try to take out Diego Garcia, the U.S. base on Diego Garcia, before the attack actually happens on Iran. The U.S. is flooding not just Diego Garcia, but Qatar with huge military infrastructure in order to get ready for the attack on Iran. So Iran also has at least 1,500 or more operatives working in the United States, and they have missiles. If you can bring in 18-wheelers with drugs, you can also bring in 18-wheelers with missiles. So they actually have missiles. So this is going to be the first time that you're going to see armed conflict happening within the continental United States. So that's what we're thinking is going to happen. What I'm personally thinking is it's going to start with the Israeli and a U.S. attack on Iran. Iran's going to retaliate. There'll be military stuff happening within the United States as well as in the Middle East. And at that point, Russia's going to see that the United States is having its own internal problems and military stuff, and they're not going to be able to do anything to help Ukraine because they're worried about their own stuff. So Russia's going to probably take advantage of that and try to do a closure on Ukraine. The European nations are going to fight back on that. They're going to start getting involved, and Russia's probably going to start engaging with the European nations. So you'll see the Ukraine war spread into Europe as well. And that's World War III. That's when you have the complete collapse of the system. I don't know about China. Right now, China is blockading Taiwan. They circled the whole island, but they do that regularly. That's not an unusual thing. But, China may take advantage of this moment as a time where the United States is really so preoccupied they can't deal with Taiwan at the same time. So that may be a thing that'll be folded into the entire thing. But we're looking at probably a complete collapse of the system. And that means a complete collapse of the system. Infrastructure may not function the way it used to function. People will have to start looking to their friends for guidance, their neighbors, their family members for guidance. And then when the good ETs show up, they'll recognize them as people. And the hypnotic trance that they have looking for the leadership to answer all these questions, that'll be broken because that'll be gone. I mean, the leadership will still exist, but the leadership won't be able to control anything anymore. Now, after a period of time, some months, a year, the leadership will be able to reestablish that control. So there's a brief window of time that we're going to have to get that information through to people so that the people can make their own decision. Once they know that the ETs not only exist, but they've been doing bad stuff for thousands of years, that's when that's when disclosure really fully happens, and that's when the ability of the masses, not the leadership, but the masses, to make a free will choice of which side they want to align themselves with. If they align themselves with the good ETs, we can take care of the bad ETs. We have the military resources. What basically would happen is the bad ETs would be looking at a planet they can't control anymore because the jig is up. It's the cat is out of the bag. People know what's really been going on because that's when disclosure really happens. And so they realize that their normal methods of controlling a planet through psychological means is over. And then the bad ETs will say to themselves, well, we can get into a military fight with the good ETs, but what for? We can't control the planet anymore. So if we get into a military fight with the good ETs, we're going to lose personnel and ships for a planet we can't control anymore. So the plan is that that's when the bad ETs will pull out. So we're not expecting to have to literally kill them. We're expecting them to voluntarily leave because they would lose a lot of ships and they would lose a lot of personnel. At the same time, they can't keep the planet anymore because disclosure happened. So that's how we're expecting this changeover to occur. And then the next stage happens, which is the re-education of an entire prison system, an entire prison people. You have to re-educate the entire population of what's really going on in the galaxy, and that's going to be tough. You know, another one of the things you asked me about was, what about the people that are talking? You have a lot of people that are out there talking. I hear a lot of people that are really big in the sort of New Age UFO community saying things like, there are only good ETs, there are no bad ETs. And I've actually heard people say any civilization that got to the point of having advanced space travel has already gotten past all the bad stuff, and they're only good stuff. And the only evil people are the military industrial complex on Earth. I mean, look, as above, so below. Where on Earth do you actually have everybody getting along? It's the same as in the galaxy. They have sides. It's like they have alliances. They have different. The galaxy is all split up, and right this very moment, it's a standoff. There was in the galaxy historically a huge 1 million year Holocaust. It was a horrible war, and it was just horrible. And it was during that time that the death traps was invented. And that was how they were trying to contain their own populations. Death used to be a very effective means of transportation. You could die and say, hey, I don't like this place, I'm going somewhere else. And so to stop that from happening, because they were getting population drain in the fascist authoritarian areas, they had to invent the death traps. And so you cannot kill an Isby. You know, we don't use the word soul or spirit. You cannot kill an Isby. So any religion that says we can grant you eternal life if you get down on your knees and beg for forgiveness, otherwise, you're going to go to hell for eternity and burn in the fire of hell. Now, what is this? You're talking about eternity either way. Either you go eternity in hell, or they can grant you. They can't grant you anything. It's impossible to kill an Isby. It's impossible to kill a person, but you can trick an Isby. So all the major religions have been manipulated. All of the major religions, all the major political realms, all the major media and corporate realms, everything is currently under control one way or the other by the bad ETs who work through their intermediaries, humans and things like that. And there are hybrid people on the planet right now that look just like you and I, but they have very, very, very good telepathic capabilities. And they're literally working right next to national leaders and able to manipulate minds and things like that. And corporate leaders able to manipulate minds and keep things going, percolating. That's what this genetics program was all about, making human-looking people, but they have genes that are like the Greys, that allows them to be communicative telepathically. By the way, there are academics that have studied this type of thing, There is, for example, I can pull that from right behind me. They have John Mack, former late professor at Harvard, and also David M. Jacobs. So John Mack has written about the so-called abduction phenomenon. All right. And then David M. Jacobs, he's really a precious person. John Mack was from Harvard. David M. Jacobs is from Temple University. And this is his latest book, Walking Among Us. Now, David M. Jacobs only has had experience with the bad ETs because he interviews people who were involved in the abduction phenomenon. So those are going to be people who have been involved in the bad ET stuff. And so he doesn't know about the good ETs, but his book here, Walking Among Us, is the best, most authoritative treatment of what goes on with the bad ETs, the genetic program to create human lookalikes to control the planet. That's a really big deal. So those are a couple academics that have worked on it. They have really good credentials and things like that. John Mack is not alive anymore. David Jacobs is still alive, but he's not active anymore. But the books are really great.
I want to ask you, getting back to the human side of everything, if this is a prison planet, what about reincarnation? Where does that come into play when people claim to be reincarnating back here? Are they still being punished from a
No, it's not a matter of being punished. It's part of the control of the population. They're not being reincarnated through any type of voluntary thing. The reincarnation thing actually works, but it's technology that does it. When you die and you see the light and you're drawn to the light, that's all technology. Stop this whole garbage about saying ascension to higher realms and all that kind of stuff. It's tech. It's just plain tech. And they have a way to draw in ISBs, and it's like a vacuum cleaner type of thing. It's a beam that ISBs get exposed to, and it feels wonderful. It feels warm. It feels comforting and loving. And then once they get into it, they get smacked with a lightning bolt type thing. They get stunned. They have no memories, no telepathic capabilities, no remote viewing capabilities. And an AI comes out and says, you're a very important person. We've been talking about your case with the Council of Elders. You see the Council of Elders over there? Yeah. Well, we've been talking about your case, and we think you should go back and work on a couple of personality issues. Now, since you don't remember anything, and then they feed in a whole bunch of memory stuff as well. And then so that's what and then people say, okay, I'll go back. And that's what recycles people back in. But that's what the reincarnation thing is all about. It's so stupid, Dave, because listen, it's impossible to kill an ISB. That means everybody on the planet came from someplace else, not for like one lifetime or two lifetimes. Everyone's been around for like millions of years. And they think that this is like the one McCoy. This is the one thing. This is it. This is their one thing. And they have to refine their personality to go through a few more things. That's just garbage. What are you going to learn with one more person, one more lifetime? What are you going to learn? You've already had millions of lifetimes. It's a prison. It's just a plain prison. And there's a huge amount of resistance to it because all of the information control is being controlled by the bad ETs ultimately. This will all go away once the crises boil over and we finally can get through to people and explain to people what's actually been going on. By the way, we have all of this explained at farsightprime.com. That's like it's video, and it's all oriented around explaining to everybody. We have the best remote viewers on the planet, and we have our remote viewers that do these projects are you just don't get any better than this. We also have specialized in training people, teaching people how to make video recordings of UFO ships that are cloaked on demand. The first time I actually used that active technology, using our specialized cameras, shooting in infrared at extremely high speed rates, over my house, there were 30 UFOs, some of them huge, within a 15-minute video recording on demand whenever we want. They're just there.
And hold that thought, Courtney, because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. We're going to try and get some audience questions in the next hour, but this is very fascinating show tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Courtney Brown, farsight.org is his website. This is Spaced Out Radio.
listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
So are we off, Dave?
We are off.
How much time do I have? I wanted to go a quick bathroom break.
5 minutes.
Oh, I'll be back in about 2, okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
This is an amazing show. Talk about going down the rabbit hole.
No kidding.
Big time rabbit hole. So cool. So cool.
No question.
Dry Toast, the best name on YouTube. Right there. Oob. Oob. Little Timmy James. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man.
Mr. Cowley, welcome back to the show. Oh, Mr. Cowley loves his spaced out radio. Shaq Valet, how are you? That's something we should do for the channel, man, is make up some songs.
Okay.
They're just like 30, 45-second songs.
Yeah.
Or 1 minute songs, just about like the characters in the field. Dude,
Okay.
that would be great.
That'd be fun.
That would be totally fun. Pat Leal, how you doing, man? That would be fun, though,
That would be.
to add.
I think so. Yeah. Like Weird Al Yankovic stuff. Okay. I think I got enough shit.
Wave of Mutilation, how you doing? I got to go to the store tomorrow and buy travel gel for my hair because they won't allow the big bottles. Because I'm just doing carry on.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah. I got to be up at like 4 a.m.
Tomorrow?
Friday.
Right.
Carla, how are you? Yep. 4 a.m. That puts me in Abbotsford by 10 or by 9:30, depending on how, because my Jeep, I don't push it too hard.
No, and it's supposed to be nice.
Yeah. So that puts me, I'll get to see the sunrise through the mountains. That'll be nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a good time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And so I'll get that. And then be in Abbotsford by hopefully 9:30. And then park my Jeep at my dad's place.
Flying out of Abbey?
No, flying out of Vancouver.
Oh,
My dad's going to drive me. It just, I have, with my soft top,
yeah, no,
I don't
no.
trust the YVR.
No. Heck no.
Sweet Robbie G will be here both Friday and Monday to cover my show.
Cool.
So, yeah. I'm not going to take any more questions. Like I said, long-winded people, and I'm not saying that to be insultive. Long-winded with great answers. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to all the questions. I will do my best here. This is so much fun tonight.
It is. Amazing. Well,
Yeah, I am going to do some filming while I'm there.
pictures and stuff for the website?
Yeah.
Cool.
I'll probably get some promos too,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you know,
Sure.
while we're there.
Just so Patreon stuff on the front page.
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay.
Yeah. Saw that. It's not quite what I want, but we're like 100% closer.
Okay, cool.
We're almost there. You're doing a great job on the website, man. Great job. Yeah. All right. Big thank you tonight to Gizmo, Human Carl, T-Bone, and Walter. Yeah. Walter for the super chats tonight. Greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Why? We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. You can wear our stuff out in public and be proud of it. Wise Ass McCoy, how you doing? And here we go, everybody, in like 7 seconds. We're on the countdown now. Second half of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. An amazing show tonight with Courtney Brown. We'll bring you back on momentarily. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for tuning us in, wherever you are on this great planet we call Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, our archives are always free. Why? Because I want them that way, and I'm not going to change my mind. You get them for free. YouTube, any major podcast network, that's where you find them. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go. Courtney Brown, we have until the top of the hour. Farsight.org is our website. Courtney, I'm going to fit in some audience questions here because I love it when our audience gets to participate. I hope you don't mind.
I think it's great.
All right. Let's start off here with our good friend T-Bone. What do you think, or what are your thoughts on the President Eisenhower Humans for Technology deal?
Well, that's what we've been talking about. Those are the written agreements that happened. Those were when they were. That's when they were basically signed. It was during that time period, and the idea was that the ETs they tricked the administration. They said that they were going to be just small scale abduction type of events that would mostly be dealing with the mentally disabled people community, and that they would be not able to remember what happened to them. It'd be totally, they would be not. It'd be completely clean and nothing going on, and it would just be small in number. That was a total lie. And once they got their foot in the door in exchange for technology, for that the administration wanted, they wanted military technology. And so then the deal was made. It turned out to be the so-called human abduction phenomenon involved healthy people of all over the place in terms of millions and millions and millions of people. It's the largest human trafficking operation that exists. The big money transfers in the world are with human trafficking. That's number one. After that, it's drugs and military sales. So that's where the big money is, and the biggest human trafficking operation of the whole thing is with the ETs, the bad ETs. So that deal was a bad deal, and there was a lot of lying going on. But the U.S. government does get technology transfer from ships that are crashed. That should be a next question that you should ask, Mr. T-Bone, which is, what about these ships? You mean they can cross the entire galaxy to get to us, and then they crash as soon as they get here? Do they don't have good mechanics? Did they not stop at Pep Boys and get the oil changed? I mean, what's wrong with them? That's the whole point. The ships that are crashing are from the good ETs. That's my side. And what's happened is the bad ETs cannot shoot down my side, because that would change a Cold War that would exist currently between the good ETs and the bad ETs into a hot war. And neither side wants that right now. So the bad ETs have a workaround, and that is they will give the technology, help the American Secret Space Program develop the technology so that the American Secret Space Program can shoot down ships from the good ETs. And those are the ships that are crashing. They get lured into a certain area, they get in their vulnerable spot, and then boom, they get knocked out. Now, understand that the good ETs could easily defend themselves against the American secret space program. They could knock out the entire American secret space program in a matter of seconds. The issue is they can't do that because they don't want to have the American government, military and government say, oh my gosh, they're the aggressors. They're knocking our ships down. And that would throw the Americans further into the hands of the bad ETs. So when you see these ships crashing, that's not in dispute. I mean, if you listen to Lou Elizondo, if you look into Barber, I think it's Dave Barber on, he's been interviewed numerous times. He was a helicopter pilot that actually was involved in the, and actually picking up the ships. And you can hear him. Ross Coulthard has interviewed him numerous times on News Nation, and David Grush, still with his Pentagon clearance. This crash retrieval program really does work, but the question they're not asking is who are they shooting down? Well, they're shooting down the ships on my side, and we're not defending ourselves because we don't want the government to think that we're the aggressors. So there's a huge amount of sacrifices that have been going on in order to save this planet and the people on it. It's a big deal. So this question that you're asking, T-Bone, is actually got many aspects to it.
Let's move on to another question here. Let's go to Human Carl here. There is a group that is aware of the reincarnation trap. Their purpose is to teach members of how not to go to the light and go to the void instead. What's your opinion?
Well, it's good that they figured out that the light is bad thing. The issue is they haven't quite fully figured out what the light is. It's technology. There's nothing that you experience that doesn't involve technology. The whole thing is tech. So there's no easy way. So it is good to stay out of the light because that's just tech and it sucks you in. But there's no way that you can personally figure out how to escape from the prison. You can hang around and avoid the light and stuff like that, but it's not like you can actually go and leave the planet. It's difficult. It's very few people have ever gotten out of this system. So what is actually, now it is true that if you could get into a ship and fly out of the system and die out of the system, get out of your body, then you could get out. But around the planet itself, it's really very difficult to get out. So what we're actually trying to do is to take down the death traps. And we just, in farsightprime.com, we just published a major project that is, since the death traps themselves are technology, we did a major project on who's maintaining the technology. It's very difficult to locate where the actual death traps are organized. Actually, to locate the technology and to take it out and destroy it, it's very difficult. This is technology that's been developed over like 1 million years. It's designed to evade the ability of even the good ETs to locate and destroy it. So we have, with our remote viewers, have actually had a project that we just published days ago called Maintaining the Death Traps. And that is any technology, whether it's your car or your computer or the death traps, it needs to be maintained. So we wanted to find out who is maintaining it and where are they. And we found out. So the main areas where the people are staying that maintain the death traps are deep, deep, deep underground. They're not out in space someplace. They're actually on Earth, but deep underground. That's why they're so difficult to detect. It's not like they're just 100 feet down. They're way, 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 way down. And they have huge areas, very advanced areas for where they operate all of their stuff. And there's a lot of different beings down there. There's some reptilians, but there's also a lot of humans that look just like you and I. They can be ETs, but they look like you and I. And they're the ones that are maintaining the death traps. There was actually other installations that operated and maintained the death traps elsewhere, like on Mars near the Cydonia region. There was a base underneath. They're always buried. That was maintaining some parts of the death traps. Some of the stuff is in space in ships, but that's relatively rare compared with the big installations which are underground. deep underground. And they have ways to protect it from easy, locating it and stuff like that. But anyway, that's where that is. Now, once we get disclosure, full disclosure with the collapse of the system, and you get full disclosure, then we can talk to the geniuses on this planet, because there is probably very few, if any, concentration of geniuses anywhere on the galaxy other than this planet. This planet has a huge concentration of geniuses, and let me explain why. But if you take these geniuses and say, look, this is real, the ETs are real, and the death traps are real, we need you to figure out how to take them down. You put those geniuses on that, and we'll figure it out how to way to actually discover them, take them down, the whole thing. But basically, all over the galaxy, they have invented everything that can be invented. We're so attracted to new gizmos, new phones, and things like that. Out in the galaxy, there's no new inventions of tech. Everything that can be invented has already been invented. So what happens is there are people out there who are really smart that like just messing with stuff. Like Steve Jobs, he just liked to change and revolutionize everything. And in those society, those people are a real irritant. And so just like Socrates used to talk to people at the marketplace and just ask them penetrating questions to get them to, think. And they killed them. They had them put to death. He had to drink the hemlock tea. The reason is that when people shake up the system in any way, shape, or form, a lot of times people say, we have everything going the way we want it, and we don't need you anymore. So a lot of people who have been put here are actually not bad people. They're geniuses, they're creative artists. There's probably no other place in the galaxy that has such high concentration of artists. Creative geniuses, artists, not just science geniuses, but also artist geniuses. All the music, the music industry, the way it's bursting alive all over the planet, that's rare in the galaxy. This is a very big hotbed of new stuff always popping out, and these people irritate the groups that they came from. And so, one thing we're going to get out of disclosure is releasing these people back into the galaxy. These are some of the best galaxy people that exist. But on the other hand, when there are perverted people out there, criminal types, perverts, they get thrown in here also, because, who wants them around it? And that's why we have so many people that do crazy ass things like, school shootings, pedophilia, child trafficking. That's those people, and they also are here at the same time. So this is a very complicated mix of a population.
Let's go to another question. Let's go to Derek here. Dr. Brown, what is the Farsight Institute's percentage of getting remote viewing targets right opposed to wrong? I'm pretty sure you keep the data and the stats.
Yeah, we don't publish any projects where we get these things wrong. The issue of whether you're right or wrong is a question that comes out of early sci research, where they did projects where they were involved in multiple trials, usually, where they would do things like they'd pick a target out of 5. They'd have like 5 targets, and they would have a remote view some target that was chosen by a random event, such as a computer program that would pick out like target 2 is the right target and the others are decoys. Then they'd give the actual data to a panel of judges, and then the panel of judges would look at the remote viewing data and then look at the 5 targets and see which ones were correct. What's the percentage accuracy? So that question comes out of that old scientific model. Now, that old scientific model has now been demonstrated to be completely flawed. It's a fatal design. It doesn't work. The reason is because back in the day, they didn't understand what created a target in the first place. What creates a target in the first place is the person doing the remote viewing is doing it for the purpose of satisfying the informational needs of the person who's analyzing the data. So when the remote viewer is doing the target, doing the session, there actually is a telepathic link between the remote viewer and the person who's analyzing the data. And that person's informational needs becomes like a laser pointer to the target. Now, the panel of judges that are doing it have 5 targets in front of them, and they're trying to analyze the data and say which target is right. And they say because a computer program picked number 2, that's the right one. So what they ended up getting is really good sessions of the wrong target. It's called the displaced target phenomenon. So someone would describe target 3 or target 4 perfectly, but the computer said target 2 was the right one. They never understood that the thoughts of the analysts were creating the target. And so any of the 5 targets were good, were good game. They were okay. And the early psi researchers just simply did not understand it. That is an early result of that is a book. In fact, that is a result of a book of mine called Remote Viewing, the Science and Theory of Non-Physical Perception, which is this book. This whole book was written to answer that particular question. So to answer your question is in terms of what is right and what is wrong, once we figured out what the targeting mechanism was, what causes the focus of perception to go to one spot, then we don't really have a problem with percentage of right and percentage of wrong. Basically, it's like saying, when you're looking at the dishes in your sink that you need to wash, what is the percentage of the times that you actually see dishes that need to be washed versus a television in your sink? So are you decoding the dishes in your sink to be a television? So you misunderstand, you end up throwing the television into the dishwasher. That's the nature of the question you're actually asking. The question came out of the early psi research, which was totally messed up because they thought they could control the remote viewing process through the classical means of distance and time, separating things in time and separating things in space. And you can't do that. Telepathic communication works across time and space, so you can't do that separation. So we don't have a situation of percentage of correct and percentage of wrong, just like you don't have a problem with knowing which dishes in your sink need to be washed.
Good analogy. Let's go to another question. Let's go to, Kurt here. Courtney, do you physically go to the ship or do you spiritually go to the ship?
I have been on those ships so many times, I can't tell you how many times. But yes, I in multiple different ways. Now, sometimes I don't have to go in my body. And the reason is when a body goes into those ships, when a human physical body goes into the ships, there is an issue. The ships are pretty much sterile. The human body is not necessary at all. It's a wrapper. It's a container. It's not in the slightest bit necessary. So if I get out of the body, I can go to the ships and they can bring me up that way. If they bring me in with the body, I've got all types of viruses and bugs and everything. For example, I've been exposed to everything that normal people get exposed to: measles, mumps, chickenpox, cytomegalovirus, Epstein-Barr virus. I've had all types of vaccines and everything. I'm a walking infection when it goes into these ships, and these ships are really sterile things. And also there's bathroom needs, having to use the bathroom and other things. So going in the physical body is not necessarily a good thing. The question that you're asking is based on the understanding that the real you is a physical body. And if you don't go with your physical body, you're not really going. That's the problem we're trying to fix on this planet. The real you isn't the body in the first place, but there is a belief that the physical body is the real you, and that unless you go with the physical body, it's actually going to be there. So I have been to the ships so many times I can't even explain how many times. But the issue is, and we interact with them physically. We have our board meetings, for heaven's sakes, where we interact with them physically. And we've had meetings that we've been going to for years. We normally did them at remote locations at the beach in the middle of the night. No one could find us, and literally, it looks sort of freaky us doing that. But there's like ships that are there. There's like 200 or 300 security personnel around us at all times, and we meet and we talk and we have conversations about what's actually going on. And we're physical in our physical bodies and things like that. So And also, we have no trouble seeing ETs that are what you would consider non-physical, but they're not non-physical. They're as physical as you and I, but they're slightly out of phase from what you can see. And the reason is we're used to that because we do the remote viewing phenomena, so we got used to seeing these things. The reason is if they show up in what you would call physical form or a form that can be seen visually, it starts an immediate shooting reaction from the government and the ETs themselves because they have an absolute ironclad agreement that this must not occur. So we're able to have these meetings precisely because they stay invisible, but they're not invisible to us but we've trained for years and years and years to be able to see them without any trouble whatsoever. We know we can see their clothing, we can see if they're male, they're female, what species they are, and they sit right at our boardroom on 2 seats that are right next to us. Now, actually, they bring in their own seats, and it's a complicated thing. But anyway, we record them, and you can see our conversations. Our conversations, the telepathy in our conversations, we act as telepathic translators. They tell us stuff, and we translate it. All 6 of us. There's 6 people in the room, plus 2 ETs. We record everything. We got a camera on every person. And you can see those board meetings. They're on farsight.org. Actually, you can see them easily if you just go to our YouTube station, our YouTube channel, which is Farsight on YouTube. And you see every month we have an ET board meeting. Now, we didn't do those recordings of those board meetings on, voluntarily. They told us we had to record them and that we had to publish them. So we do what we're told in that regard. They want it to be known that there's no secrets. They don't want any secrets at all. So we've done that. And I'm an academic. I'm a professor. I wasn't happy with the idea of telling people I go into ships all the time, that I have a daughter on the ship. I mean, how do you think that goes in academic circles? So I wasn't, but they said, no, you have to, it's gotten to the point where actually what was going to happen is the bad ETs were going to have an event happen where Farsight was going to be accused of a what do they call that? Some type of a false flag or something or other, where Farsight was going to be accused of working with the ETs and that was going to happen. So we were told that was going to happen. So that was what sort of made it absolutely necessary that we had to. You can introduce yourself to people only once. After that, you've got to defend yourself because somebody else is going to be introducing you and they're going to be saying lies about you. So come around January 2022, we had to start telling everybody everything. We're recording everything and we're publishing everything, no matter what, because at least we're introducing ourselves to people, not having other people talk about us. But so it's a long question. It's a long answer to your question. The answer to your question is all of the above.
All right. One quick one here. We got about 90 seconds. Let's go to Jules here. My RV mentor, Simeon Hine, he was in the 3rd Farsight class. Recently, he said the phase 3 drawing is an ideogram. I always draw right away. Can you skip the first ideogram and draw first?
No, we use ideograms to get things started with. The issue is that the conscious mind is very active and it intervenes in the process. And so when it intervenes in the process, you have to distract it in some way because humans have sort of a sequential way of thinking. And so the ideograms, when you write it, it distracts the conscious mind so that you might call your higher self, we call the subspace mind, which is the ISB, can actually get some information past the conscious mind. And then you can start probing and it allows you to start focusing on things like that. But that you're referencing an early method of remote viewing that we don't do anymore that was sort of connected to the early CRV method, which we don't do anymore. But we use something called advanced SRV, which is a new methodology that was essentially told to us by the ETs. And that's what we use. That's the methods that we use now.
We got about 30 seconds to go here, Courtney, and I want to say a big thank you for coming on Spaced Out Radio for the first time. I hope you had a really good time with us. And because I know just reading our audience questions, they absolutely admired you all night long.
Yeah, I actually had a great time. So I want to thank everybody for listening and for you and for inviting me.
We're definitely going to do this again.
Yeah, I'm all for it. You got me.
Absolutely. And we want to remind everybody, farsight.org is Courtney's website. So make sure you check it on up. Coming up next on Spaced Out Radio, Hour 3 kicks off from the swamp. Then little Timmy James will be here in studio for the UFO report. We'll be right back on the mighty SOR.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right. Thank you very much, Courtney. An absolute
That's great. That's great. Thank you.
I'll let you get to bed now.
Yeah, I'll get to bed now. By the way, when you were talking when the intro music, I'm assuming it's different on your side, but the music is really loud and it swamps everything you're saying. So you can, I'm assuming it's okay when the audience gets it.
Yeah, when it goes to podcast, it sounds perfect.
Okay, that's perfect. Great.
Yeah.
Anyway, I really enjoyed myself. Thanks, Dave.
Take care.
Okay, take care. Bye bye now.
Good night. We'll be right back, everybody. back. Let's get the camera ready. And there we go. That looks good. All right. Kaz, how you doing? That was a good show. Thank you tonight to T-Bone, Human Carl, Gizmo, and Walter for the impressive super chats. Greatly appreciate the love and support. Don't thank me for the guest. Thank Dirty Filth, our booking coordinator, Kloos. Camera's in good shape. And we're going to see how it sounds. No, the audio last couple shows that coming back. I don't know why it changes, because I don't change any dials in here. I think it's just that the equipment needs to be changed up. Yeah. All right, here we go, everybody. All right, it's hard to believe we're already in hour number 3 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. This show is right on by. Thank you for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. On this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Happix. Happix is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp.
This all took place when I was 14. It was a Saturday, and we were going camping in one of the more rural parts of Jamaica. I won't name the place for privacy reasons, but first, here's some background. As I said, I'm 14, about 5'3", and a medium frame build. In other words, I was a big kid. Anyway, back to the story. The campsite that we were going to was about an hour and a half worth of driving. When we get there, we get our stuff from the truck and started hiking to find a good spot. We come across a nice, calm, crisp-looking stream, so we decide to stop here and get some dinner right away. About 2 hours later, we pack up and start again. By now, it's about 4:30 p.m. We finally find a good enough spot to set up. All of a sudden, we pick up this awful, pungent stench. It honestly smelled like expired sour cream and rotten eggs mixed in a toilet that hadn't been cleaned for 6 years and left in the sun. And it was close. I felt chills go down my spine and a wave of dread rushed over me when I heard the shrillest, most ear-piercing screech I had ever heard in my life. I grabbed the sawed-off double-barrel shotgun and ran inside the tent. I actually fell asleep quickly, despite it only being 6 p.m. At about 2 a.m., I had awoken to the sound of a branch snapping, and to make matters worse, I had to use the bathroom. Me being a horror movie enthusiast knew all too well what not to do in situations like these. I laid still with the double barrel in my hand, ready to fire it if it came to the test. Fast forward about 10 minutes later when I heard my uncle scream. I quickly woke my dad up, who was sleeping next to me, and slowly walked out there to see what was going on. At first I was thinking he was just playing a trick on us. Nothing could have ever prepared me for what I saw. This thing was at least 8 feet tall, It had the smell I described earlier. It had 2 horns sticking out of its head, and it stood on 2 awfully man-like legs. I thought I was in hell looking at the devil himself. Within no more than a second or two, I fired around into its leg. It jolted back, so human-like. A little too human-like. Then it happened. This thing turned around and acknowledged us, almost as if it wanted to speak. And it did. I don't remember exactly what it said, but it spoke in a deep, raspy, manly voice. I remember it having hellish, red-gleaming eyes that stared through my soul. I shot at it again, this time the back of its disgusting devil-like back covered with white, dirty, disgusting-looking fur. About 5 seconds or so, the thing ran off into the woods, leaving a trail of blood. I looked over at my uncle. He was almost in tears, and as for my dad, he was just frozen. I don't know what the hell this thing was, and I don't know how I wasn't crying. We all stayed up in one tent packing our stuff, planning to book it back to the truck as soon as the sun came up. After about 7 hours, the sun finally came up, and we did what we planned to do. When we got to the truck, we started it and drove out of there like a bat out of hell. On the ride home, we didn't say a word, nor did we when we got home. You'd think the story ends here. Well, not all fairy tales have happy endings. About 2 weeks later, we went down to the countryside to camp with my aunt, uncle, and cousins. This drive was about 3 hours away from where we lived, so we were going to spend the night with them. Obviously, that was our intention anyway. When we get there, we see them all standing on the front patio waiting for us with a look of joy on their faces. Now, to describe the place, it was about 5 acres of empty woodland area, but it had great lighting around the house from the LED solar-powered lights. Anyway, after about 10 minutes of talking and catching up, we all go inside and make our way to the bathroom to freshen up. When I'm finished, I get out and make my way to the room I'm staying in, and 2 of my cousins, Brian and Mario, out of the 6, are in the room playing Forza Horizon 4 on the PS4. When it's about 10 p.m., I decide I'm going to bed. I said my goodnights and went up to my room. It was dark, but I didn't think to turn on the light. I just went straight to bed and tucked in. I heard the door open, but I just brushed it off as my cousins. About 2 hours later, Mario comes in, turns on the light, and screams. I will never forget the look on his face when I asked what's wrong. He looked as though if he had just killed someone accidentally. It was almost as if he wanted to say oops and started raging. He was in total awe. It was the thing from earlier. It just walked over to the open window, which was about 2 stories off the ground, made its way down, and walked away into the woods as if nothing had ever happened. It moved so human-like, so disgusting, so purposely. When everyone ran up to us and asked what had happened, we all finished them telling the story. Brian simply said one word: Goatman. Fortunately, this was the last time I personally had an experience with this creature, and I hope I never will again. But sometimes I still wonder what would have happened if I turned on the light, or if Mario didn't come in when he did, or if he had laid down next to this thing without bothering to turn the light. I'm glad I don't know.
Oops. I thought it was over there. It was that final pause. It caught me. Thank you, Swamp Dweller, for another crazy, spooky story. If you want more just like that, head on over to Swamp Dweller, youtube.com/Swamp Dweller. Hit subscribe, ring that bell. He's got thousands of stories free for you right there. Let's get to the UFO report.
That is an interplanetary flying space saucer. You have made me very angry. Very angry indeed.
Little Timmy James here for the UFO report. Thank you so much for being here, my man.
No, not a problem. Thanks for having me.
I want to start off with something here first, okay?
Yeah.
Because for our radio audience, they don't get to see this, but you know, we broadcast live on YouTube as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to bring this up. Maybe I shouldn't, but I'm going to. Okay. One of our listeners, his name's Kurt. He's here every night.
Yes.
Okay. Puts in the chat room how he's really, really depressed right now. And he's, this show helps him out with, kind of getting over that. I'm going to tell you something. I love this. I love the fact that he came in our chat room and felt comfortable enough to talk that he was depressed.
Agreed.
As somebody who suffers from depression and anxiety, it could be an ugly, dark battle, especially especially for men who feel that they have to do it on their own, because we're supposed to be strong. We're supposed to be tough. We're not supposed to talk about our feelings as men. And that's such a load of crap. Right. But you know what? The one thing that I've learned through my depression is one of the best things to do is to talk about it. Be public about it.
Yep. Being
public about it releases so much, and it allows people who care about you to actually, help with that, with that release.
For sure.
And so, Kurt, in the chat room, I want to say I'm very proud of you for taking that time to actually mention that you're feeling really down right now, and all our listeners who might be feeling down, depressed, anxious, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
It's a topic that we do not talk about. We're worried about, everything from politics to gender to DEI to tariffs and everything that's going on politically right now. But we forget about the humanity of it all.
That's right.
And one of the things we do not talk about enough is depression and anxiety, and they come in waves, and it's hurtful. It's terrible to go through that. Back in September, October, I was going through it. You helped me through that. And so if you are depressed and you need somebody to talk to, the one thing that I learned through all of this is there is always somebody out there. Never think that there's nobody there to help or who will understand, because whether you call up a counseling hotline, a depression hotline, or you talk to somebody on social media, and you might not even know them. You don't have to know them. But you know what? There's good people on this earth who will take the time. If you reach out for help, they will take the time to chat with you.
You betcha.
And the biggest win of all, the best way to cure it, is to just mention that you have an issue. So good on you, Kurt.
Way to go, Kurt.
Good on you for coming out and saying that you were depressed tonight and that this show was helping you. Okay, get over that. I give you a few claps, okay, for doing that, because that's strength. That is strength and resilience. That you have an issue, you've reached out, you've mentioned it to us, and now if I know our radio audience can't see this, but there is a wave of people in our chat room who are there for him.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And that's why I love this show. I love our audience, especially those who participate live on YouTube every night. Okay. And a good win for you tonight, Kurt. A very, very good win for you tonight. And that's how healing begins.
That's right. And the hardest step is saying that you're not feeling good. I think that's usually the toughest one for me, is when I'm not, but when it's hitting me, is being able to say that's the hardest part, is going, I'm not doing okay. And you know what? Good on you, man. Way to go.
Very good on you, Kurt. Thank you for sharing that with us. We really do appreciate that. And that's said with love.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to get to something on as we get into the UFO report. The guy who's been on this show numerous times, not for a while. We're going to bring him back on soon. Danny Silva.
Cool.
Of the Silva Record. He said something on X today that really, really resonated with me. And I want to share this for our audience. Danny posted earlier today, I've gotten a handful of requests to be on conspiracy-themed podcasts. Often, I notice prominent UFO people doing the shows. I take a look at their shows and topics, and I wouldn't in a million years go on these shows. They usually cover a number of conspiracies, not just UFOs. They are idiotic, and even worse, some spread hate. Just because attention-seeking UFO celebs go on these horrible podcasts doesn't mean I would. I have morals. I've made the mistake in the past of doing shows without knowing the hosts or vetting their content. I won't make that mistake again. That to me was a very, very powerful statement.
Hmm.
So I responded, want to come on my show? And he goes, yeah, I know the host of that show. So, you know,
We're okay.
Danny's a friend.
Yeah.
But Danny is somebody who I highly respect in this field. He's a no bones guy. He is somebody who I know you're not familiar with him.
No.
Okay. He is somebody who has talked to a lot of people on the inside of the UFO story over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And Danny really appeared on the scene after the To the Stars Academy in 2017.
Right. Okay.
And Danny has a very analytical but open mind.
Cool.
And I really, but one thing I want to bring up about this post is he brings up a very big problem in podcasting today.
Mm.
I don't consider us a podcast. I consider us a radio show.
Right.
And, you know, in our meetings, I always say we are a broadcast. We are not a podcast.
That's right.
The podcast side, no offense to anybody listening on podcast. Okay. But that is the secondary recording of the show people missed. Not that we're doing that live. And kudos to anybody who could put the time in to do it, because it's a hard job. Okay. But what Danny is saying is, for all the good shows out there, there are a plethora of horrible shows.
Oh,
and I don't know who they are. I don't listen. I just concentrate on what we're doing. But there are a plethora of horrible shows that are just playing aha, caught you moments.
Yeah.
They're out to, you know, butter up somebody to throw them under the bus. And I want our audience to know there's nothing journalistic about that. There is nothing about reaching answers with that. And part of that has been a big complaint of mine over the years. I don't usually say it publicly. Okay. That you'll see somebody who we say we're striving to get on this show, and they go on another show, they get roasted, they get a bad taste in their mouth.
Sure.
And now we can't get them because they loop us all together in this podcast format. Oh, well, Jim over there gave me a bad interview, so I'm not doing your show. And I get them for being a little bit hesitant.
Sure, of course.
Okay. But there are a bunch of people who just go bounce show to show to show to show. They don't care about the host. They don't care about the audience. They're there to promote themselves.
Right.
You know, they're attention seekers. And there's a lot of those out there. And literally we try, when we talk about in our discussions about getting a guest on the show, we talk about, you know, really being aware, is this person, you know, lack of a better term, whoring themselves out.
Yeah.
Okay. To every other show and their dog's podcast in order to get some attention, whether it's for a book, whether it's because they have what they feel is groundbreaking information, or they just want to have their 15 minutes of fame.
Right.
But Danny is right. There has to be more discernment. You know, like if this was strictly terrestrial radio, say podcasting didn't exist.
Yes.
You go to the radio station to see what their format is, to see who your interviewers are like, to see who is all about that. What do they like? And do you want to put yourself in that situation? I know a radio host out there who will literally butter up, say everything that you want to hear to get on their show. And then he railroads you. I don't believe in that kind of stuff.
No,
that's not good. And look, this isn't against shows that are, say, harshly critical, because there are shows out there that I enjoy when I do get a chance to listen that I would normally not agree with, but they're critical. They're critical thinking, critical questions. Those are good. Critical attitude can be good, but when you're being mean, when you're being, you know, when you're being, you know, just trying to throw someone under the bus, or you have someone on the air in the next show, you're like totally slamming them behind their back. I don't think that's cool.
No.
And that's because a lot of podcasters are not trained broadcasters.
Right.
Okay.
Makes sense.
They don't know how to hold back. They think because they have a microphone that, you know, it's like holding the conch back
I get
in the movie, you know? And so I just found that very interesting with Danny to bring up.
Yeah.
That I wanted to talk about. Let's get to you now here.
All right. Well, how's everybody doing? So, did you happen to see Mr. Eric Burleson? His little spiel today. Did anybody see it? I mean, obviously, he did put. There was a video put out today, and he was basically, I guess he had talked about Grush, but they just used this clip, and I have to read it to you. I actually, in full disclosure, I read it today before the show. So this will stir up some stuff, I'm pretty sure. So this is directly from Eric Burleson. So it starts off. What I found really interesting is that AARO, which is the agency that is currently studying the UAP phenomena, said to us that the topic of aliens from another planet or these UFOs is not top secret. It's actually not a secret. What I mean is that it's not a classified topic. It's not something that the federal government even has the ability to keep secret. Because at the end of the day, the government is to protect government secrets, not information about, something that's outside the federal government. But a lot of times where the rubber meets the road is that you have footage and photos that have captured these objects. Here comes the best part, everybody. And the technology behind what has captured them through either video or photos is the top secret aspect. And so because of that, that makes it extremely difficult to get access to view what information that we do have. So it's not the aliens, it's not the extraterrestrials, it's none of that. It's the equipment they use to film and photograph them. That's secret.
I'm trying not to laugh with you.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. I'm trying really hard not to laugh with you.
Did anybody phone David Grush and say, this is the guy you're working with?
Look, here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
The politicians, we got about 2 minutes to go.
Okay.
The politicians are looking to keep the secrets.
Of course.
Okay. When you hear Tim Burchett or Burleson or Luna or whoever talk about transparency, there's no transparency in this topic. So explain to me how we're going to know on a clear footage film what kind of camera they're using.
Well, we won't, because it's apparently that's the top secret part.
But that's what I'm saying. Release if that's your excuse for not releasing more UFO videos or more alien videos or whatever it may be, that's pretty lame.
Well, yeah. And I mean, I don't know. I completely agree with you. This is just, and if it is the equipment, buy some new stuff, because everything you shoot is all grainy and
but that's the point. That's the exact point.
Right.
So apparently our 1080p televisions that we have in our house.
Yes.
I got a beautiful 65-inch
You do.
upstairs with a clear, perfect picture, HD built in. Apparently, I'm not allowed to see the government version of that.
No.
Okay?
No.
So basically, if they were playing a baseball game, okay, notice I didn't say hockey.
Yes, I did.
Because Rob would kick my butt for that.
Right.
If they were playing a baseball game, we'd get that grainy black and white 1960s television look.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we would get. That's what he's explaining about that. If that isn't the most ridiculous thing I have heard in a long time, that ranks up there with the politician a couple of years ago that, I don't know, I think he was about 165 years old.
Yeah.
Asking when the first UFO hearings came out, well, could it be swamp gas?
Right.
What? Like we're back to swamp gas here? It's ridiculous. Hold on to that thought. Tim James is here with the UFO report.
This is Spaced Out Radio, and your host, Dave Scott.
All right. There we go. Big pause.
Yes.
Christine was in last night.
Uh-huh.
Hour and a half I went.
Did you really?
I went an hour and a half.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I was pretty proud of myself. I almost forgot.
Oh, did you?
I almost forgot. Right? It was awesome.
I think T-Bone did something like that too. In the chat, did they go Chris and then I would whatever, and then later on it was like teen. I was like, oh my god.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I couldn't not read that one out.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it is on video. I swear to God, it's on video, and it's not an AI or an April Fool's. It's just like, nice and warm out today, eh?
It's nice.
Well, it's -1 now. That's rolling down the windows driving weather.
Oh God, yeah. I'm so pumped up.
Mm-hmm.
So pumped up.
Mm.
Good times.
Yeah, absolutely. You fly out of here Friday, and then you're back Sunday or Monday?
I'm back. I'll be back on the show Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
I fly back Monday.
So I'm on with Rob on Monday.
You're on with Sweets on Monday.
Yeah, I always get him riled up.
Mm-hmm.
We have good conversation.
Yeah. You know, Rob's into it when he starts stroking his red chin hair.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Or when he does the big lean.
You know, the other day him and I were chatting, and he had a red shirt on.
Oh yeah,
and I couldn't see the beard. I thought he shaved it.
I've thought that too a couple of times.
Yeah, I'm like, you didn't shave your beard, your goat there, did you? Oh no, it's just blended in right now.
That's all right. Mm-hmm. So I'll drive down to Rob's place and I'll sit in his studio.
Yeah, sit in Rob's studio. So, when you pass San Fran on the I-5, just give a wave.
Wave, yeah,
just a little. Right.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah.
Oh. Cancellation list. They called me today. Will you be available tomorrow? I was like, yes. Call me tomorrow.
For sleep test?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I got to get new nose pillows, man.
Yeah.
For mine. It's messing me right up, though.
Oh.
The old ones are worn out.
Oh.
Yeah. I was texting with Sandra Kincaid from our chat room.
Yes.
At about 1:30 this morning, 2:00 this morning, because my nose pillows just weren't sitting comfortably.
Oh, I see.
And she's like, yeah, probably time for new nose pillows. So it's like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I had past couple nights I've had to use the full face mask on there, which it doesn't bother me.
Well, that's good.
Mm-hmm. Sweet Robbie G says, "Come on down."
Yeah, all right.
He's gonna take you to Taco Bell.
No, we're doing breakfast for supper.
I can't wait till Friday night, because as soon as I get to the hotel, here comes Uber Eats. Oh yeah, yeah. Bring that Taco Bell.
Taco Bell.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah.
Taco Bell.
We got like 50 seconds.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm trying to be quiet because I thought we were rolling in here pretty quick.
No.
Oh, I can hardly wait to hit the sack tonight.
Yeah. Thank you tonight to Walter, T-Bone, Human Carl, and Gizmo for the great super chats. Greatly appreciate your love and support. If you're new and hit subscribe, ring that bell. Appreciate it. Shaq, no insulting Taco Bell in our chat room.
No.
JBD, how you doing? No, we don't have Del Taco up here in Canada. Gonna pig the fuck out on Taco Bell.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah.
Joe Monk. Yeah.
Here we go. With the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio, it's the UFO Report. Little Tim James in the studio as we speak. My name is Dave Scott. Yes, my boxer shorts are tinfoil. Yes. No patterns, no nothing. You know, if I can't shift because I'll start making noise on the microphone.
Crinkly.
It is crinkly. Sometimes it pinches.
Ow.
Yeah, sometimes it pinches, but we'll let that go. Hey, I want to remind everybody that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Little Timmy James here with the UFO Report. Good to have you here back, man. Friend.
Yeah. Love it here. I do.
Good. Yeah. It's a nice studio.
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
You need a new chair, though.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. You need a new chair. We'll figure that one
That's
out.
all right. We'll get to it.
What do you got for us, Chief?
Well, we got some just food for thought stories. So, apparently, there was a meeting yesterday and at the Pentagon, and the U.S. Department of Defense released a report to Congress yesterday detailing more than 270 reports of UFO encounters received over an 8-month period ending in early 2025. This update, covered by CBS News, highlighted the ongoing efforts of AARO to catalog and investigate these incidents. Chris Impey, an astronomy professor at the University of Arizona, provided expert commentary, noting that while most sightings are likely explainable, a small fraction exhibited anomalous characteristics warranting further study. The report underscores a growing governmental focus on UAPs and UFOs as a potential national security issue, with Congress scheduling a hearing in this month in April to press the Defense Department for more transparency on pilot documented encounters. So there's been a few meetings going on that I get, well, obviously, but I mean, there's been a few meetings addressing stuff like this. So I found that kind of an interesting one, but we'll see. April. So that's this month. So they should be pulling a meeting, and there's still no dates on that one for the, I guess, Elizondo and Grush and all the rest of them coming in for the skiff. So haven't heard anything more about that. So on to other stuff. Jeremy Corbell, prominent UAP investigator, shared on X a newly released military police blotter from Vandenberg Space Force Base in California, detailing a series of UFO events dubbed Red Square. So investigative journalist Jerry Corbell and George Knapp have obtained and are releasing an official military police blotter, as I previously stated, from Vandenberg Space Force Base, provided by Air Force veteran Jeff Nocchetti. It's Italian, so you've got to take the double C's and make it a CH. So it's Nocchetti, detailing a series of extraordinary encounters with unidentified flying objects, referred to as the Red Square UFO events. So Vandenberg Space Force Base, located on California's central coast, has long been a critical hub for U.S. military and aerospace innovation. Renowned for its missiles and rocket launches and its role in developing advanced defense technologies, the base has also been a focal point for some of the most striking and well-documented UFO incidents in American history. So, a former military police officer stationed at Vandenberg for several years was directly involved with investigating a wave of incursions by massive unidentified craft. Among the most startling events that he had documented was the appearance of an enormous glowing red square shaped object that maneuvered slowly over the base's highly sensitive restricted airspace. According to the official report, one notable incident occurred when a group of Boeing contractors working near a launch facility observed a colossal UFO described as 100 yards wide, red, square in shape, and approaching from the Pacific Ocean. The craft hovered at a lower altitude directly above Launch Facility 21, a site tied to top secret operations. Witnesses described the object as both awe-inspiring and unsettling. The red square sighting marked the beginning of a series of similar incidents involving large square-shaped UFOs breaching Vandenberg's airspace. The military police blotter, now made public for the first time, provides an official account of these encounters, shedding light onto the chapter of the base's history that has long been shrouded in mystery. Interesting.
Well, a couple things here. Let's go back to the Elizondo
Sure.
and Mellon one.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that I want to point out about this is the transparency once again.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And is it great that they're having this meeting? Sure. You got to keep the ball rolling. You got to keep the ball moving when it comes to this subject.
Yep.
Okay. But the question is, why is there secret meetings about this? Why are they announcing that there were secret meetings? What were they talking about? Who are they talking about? Which groups inside the annals of the Pentagon were involved in that?
Right.
You know, if you want to have private meetings, that's up to anybody. I mean, you and I have had private meetings. Everybody's had
of course
private meetings before.
Yeah.
But, you know, it reminds me of, do you remember the night of the Roxbury?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Where the brothers, they have to have a meeting before the meeting to have a meeting before the meeting.
Yep.
Before the big meeting.
Yep.
That's what that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and I don't think it's very comfortable.
Well, no, but definitely not. And you're right. And I mean, they had, what was it? There was, Elizondo had his meeting this week or last week, whatever it was. And that was all held secret. And there was quite a few people involved with this, and they discussed drones. And according to Lou Elizondo, it was, the threat of drones and the free for all that they could come in and out of. But Tim Burchett was there. Anna Paulina Luna was there. There was a cast of characters that went in there and had this big discussion about all of this. And we're just finding out about it a week later. And the reports came out today. So I was like, interesting.
Well, let's just go down this rabbit hole for a
Yeah,
second.
absolutely.
Okay. I mean, remember, I believe it was Nancy Mace who came out and threw the shot at Elizondo that we were here for answers, not to sell a book.
That's right.
What changed since then? Why is the conversation continuing? Why aren't you putting him back under oath and say, okay, answer the damn questions?
Yeah.
Why the private meetings with him?
I don't know, but what I'm seeing now is ever since that, and this just may be me, this is just me talking, the way that I'm perceiving it is ever since they announced that Grush was going to be working with the government, all of a sudden it seems like Elizondo wants to help. That's his big thing. Like with this meeting he was talking about, he just wants to help the government. He wants to help them disclose. And I'm not knocking him, don't get me wrong. But it's almost like, don't forget about me, and I want to be part of it too still. And it just seems like, your little brother that wants to tag along with you, for lack of a better term. And that's the way I'm seeing it. I could be completely wrong, and that's okay. But it's just like, and now he's going to come back in and he's going to be in with the government. I don't know. It just seems strange to me, but yeah.
One of the other things that you mentioned about Jeremy Corbell releasing something, Jeremy's been very silent for a while.
Yeah.
And he has taken a lot of hits over that time. And I'm wondering if he had to wait for his source to the tension from his source on the inside needed to calm the flames a little bit.
Yeah.
Because from what I had heard, they were going after trying to figure out who his source was.
Well, Yeah, and that makes perfect sense because I mean, man, he just all of a sudden come out and it was just everything was just out. He was saying a lot of stuff, and I was not concerned, but I was curious because he was so bold about stuff and in his comments and in his statements. I also wondered, like, man, you got to start kind of maybe toning it down because he seemed like he wasn't afraid of anything, which is fine. But yeah, I'm not sure. But all of a sudden he's out again. So doing his thing.
Very interesting, my man. Very interesting. What else you got for us?
All right. Well, I got some history. Well, as soon as everything goes, flips back up. All right. So this happened in March of 1988. So John Salter Jr., who is a 53-year-old political science professor at the University of North Alabama, and his 23-year-old son, John III, were driving along a quiet stretch of Highway 43 near, this is a good one, Tombigbee River. I just like saying that, sorry. Tombigbee River in Mississippi. It was late afternoon, and they were headed to a family gathering. According to their account, a glowing silver cigar-shaped object of about 30 feet suddenly appeared in the sky, pacing the car. John Jr., a no-nonsense academic with a dry sense of humor, later quipped that he thought it was some damn fool in a private plane at first. But then things got weird. The car's radio cut out, replaced by a high-pitched whine, and the vehicle slowed to a crawl despite John Jr. flooring the gas pedal. Before they could process what was happening, both men claimed they were enveloped in a blinding white light and lifted out of the car, still in their car seats. They didn't remember exiting the vehicle conventionally. It was as if they'd been teleported, seatbelts and all, into a sterile, bright lit room aboard the craft. John Jr. later described feeling like a lab rat in a Mazda, emphasizing the absurdity of being plucked from his car like a toy in a claw machine. Inside the craft, they encountered beings John Jr. described as tall, thin, and grayish with large black eyes and no discernible mouths. But what made this encounter odd and funny was the aliens' apparent fascination with John Jr.'s tobacco habits. He was a pipe smoker, and he claimed the aliens took his pipe, examined it with what he interpreted as confusion, and then handed it back after a few awkward sniffs. Meanwhile, John III said one of the beings poked at his sneakers, simply baffled by the laces, as if they'd never seen footwear before. The aliens then subjected the Salters to what felt like a medical exam, using strange wand-like devices that hummed and glowed. John Jr. noted that one alien kept waving a gadget over his head, possibly scanning his brain and jokingly wondering if they were looking for tenure papers. The exam ended abruptly, and the next thing they knew, they were back in their car, parked on the side of the road, with no memory of how they got there. The car's clock showed they'd lost about an hour, and John Jr.'s pipe had inexplicably was packed with fresh tobacco he swore he hadn't touched. John Jr., ever the skeptic, despite his own experience, told friends he wasn't sure if he'd been abducted by aliens or just had the worst road trip hallucinations since that time he ate gas station sushi. John III, meanwhile, found it hilarious that the aliens seemed more interested in their stuff than in them. They reported the incident to local authorities and UFO researchers, including Bud Hopkins, who found their story credible due to their consistency and lack of prior interest in UFOs. Physical evidence was slim, but John Jr. did notice a small triangular mark on his arm that hadn't been there before, which he dryly called my alien hickey. Yes. Man. Yeah. So interesting. All interesting. I love it. Love this stuff.
Well, it's a good story.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good story. I like it. I like it.
Definitely. So yeah, it's other than that, it's all bits and pieces today, and it was just some research and fun to try to find something interesting for the UFO report this evening. So that was all good. Now, you talked about Danny Sullivan. Was there something else that I thought you were...
Yeah, there was something else.
Okay.
So earlier today, Stephen Greenstreet from the New York Post.
There you go.
Put on a story about Chris Mellon joining the UAPDF.
Mm-hmm.
So the UAP Defense Project, or
Right.
whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And then he brought up the point, why is it that the same people
Mm-hmm.
are joining all the same groups? And I don't think that is something that has been discussed too much out there right now.
Right.
Okay. So the UAP board, Chris Mellon now sits on. So the big question is, what board doesn't Chris Mellon sit on?
Right.
We know he's part of a lot of disclosure projects.
Mhm.
And it's not just Chris Mellon. It's people like Gary Nolan,
Mhm.
Leslie Keene. It is Kit Green.
Mhm.
It is David Grush.
Right.
Starting to sit on a bunch of these boards. There are a numerous amount of people that seem to be on everything. Hal Puthoff, Jim Semivan, Eric Davis, just to name a few others.
Right.
Okay. If they're all on the same boards, and I realize it's about money.
Right.
You know, people are going to give some money here, they're going to give some money there. What is the purpose of it all? What is the purpose of all of these same people sitting on the same boards for different groups? Tomorrow night's show is going to touch on this a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Because Carl Crusher is coming back.
Yes.
We had him on last week.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a great show.
Love
We're going to have him on to finish my week here.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of things we're going to be talking about that I think are very important to people who love these subjects is that we take a look at these groups. Why are they continually using the same people? That is something that needs to be discussed. And the other thing too is the power right now of how YouTube influencers have taken over the story about this.
Yeah.
That if you don't have close to 1 million plus subscribers, you aren't getting certain interviews.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if you have a radio audience like we do. It doesn't matter if you're a YouTube channel, say there's 50,000 subscribers.
Right.
Or I think we're at like 27,421.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter.
No. Oh.
What matters is how many subscribers do you have and what is your impact as an influencer?
Mm-hmm.
If we look at all of this and we take a step back, take the UFO subject out of it.
Okay.
And you take a step back, it's not pretty what we are seeing.
No.
They have funneled everything down like a martini glass.
Yeah.
Where all of us are near the top.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Your podcasters, your radio hosts, your newspaper articles, we're all near the top. And now it's just right at the bottom. Not that the glass is empty, because the glass is still full, but you're drinking from the bottom rather than the top.
Yeah.
And it's those few at the bottom that are getting the entire scoop. Now, I know people do not trust mainstream journalism as much as they used to these days.
Fair enough.
Okay. But when you are relying on influencers over journalists to get the story out, it doesn't matter if you have a journalism degree or not anymore. It doesn't matter if you self-title yourself as a journalist.
Right.
People are there because they know that you're going to have, if you have 3.8 million subscribers, they know that there's a good chance that you're going to get triple the views of your subscribers.
Yeah.
Even if your video gets 1 million views or 1,000,003 views.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they're cashing in on the YouTube side.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's saving them under controlled environments edited environments
Mm-hmm.
rather than doing a live show where you may say something destructive like Lou Elizondo did on this show a number of years ago,
Yeah.
where he said, I don't negotiate with terrorists in regards to Dr. Stephen Greer.
Yeah.
Now, to this day, I think he said it in jest
Oh, yeah.
and as a joke, but the UFO world, in their aha caught you moment, they're still making that viral.
Yeah.
That clip.
I know there.
Okay. So I think it's important that that portion is discussed,
Mhm.
how they are funneling the story, the information to a select few and not to the greater good of the UFO public, or even the public that is on the fence,
Yep.
who wants to learn. They want to support. They
Mhm.
want to know the information. What is the, I'm going to use the word proof.
Yeah, yeah.
What is the proof of this all?
Yeah.
And they're not doing it.
Mhm.
They aren't doing it for the sake of scratching their own backs.
Right.
Why? Because the influencers make money.
Yeah.
Okay. And they get clicks, views, clickbait. Doesn't matter whether it's Logan Paul, Chris Ramsey, Julian Dory, Sean Ryan, even Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, who's going to say no to Joe Rogan? If he called me up tomorrow, I'd be there.
Well, sure, of course.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Right. It would do wonders for our popularity.
Right? Yeah, definitely.
And just like anybody else, you do that show.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not so much about the message anymore. It's about controlling the environment. And that is A, not journalism, and B, when you control the media, you control the message.
That's exactly
and when you control the message, the story that you want out comes out and not the full story, because we no longer have real journalists covering the case.
That's right.
We're going to talk with Carl Crusher about that tomorrow night.
Awesome.
On the show. Tim, bring it on. Remember, this show is copyrighted to Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for you to break with us, because
stay in
together,
line,
my
don't
friends,
make a mistake. We're watching.
We
watched you for so long. We wait for you to fall. We will expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching me.
Yes, the Wood Train has gone for the night. But to my friends, you shall ride again. She took your tickets and your smile. If you want to bring a friend, we've got the room bed. Amazing how careful I am with this now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. It's always nice when I remember to start the show too.
You know what I've noticed the last couple of nights, or well, obviously not tonight, but if I go back and I check out some of the show, the beginnings, we're getting you're coming on for a split second before you know. Oh, okay. All right.
I saw that.
Just
caught that.
I was like, I better let you know. Oh. Yeah, I'm looking forward to tomorrow night's show for sure. That's going to be so good. So what was it? Tornadoes and stuff yesterday all over the place, eh?
Yeah. Oh, stop it.
What is it? Oh, no. It's You Better Call Saul. There you go, T-Bone.
T to the bone.
T to the bone.
Does anybody name their kids Saul anymore?
S-A-U-L. No, it'd be Solomon. Yeah, maybe. Nah. I don't know any Sauls.
There's only one famous Saul.
Yeah.
Slash.
Mm-hmm. Well, hang on. Yeah, I'm not going there. My brain's just not into it.
Good old Slash.
Mm-hmm.
GNR kicking off another tour
I know.
in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
You know what it means? 2026 are coming to North America.
Well, didn't they announce that in New Year's?
Yep.
That's
I
right.
was looking at the dates today.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because I remember when, you were pretty
So it looks
excited.
like 2026.
Mhm.
Get to see them again. Go for it. How many times have I seen them now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Really?
6, 7, 8 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nope, never seen them.
Oh, we'll go 2026.
All right.
Yeah.
No, I've never seen
We
them.
might have to put that on the old SOR account. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, never seen them. My thing was, Van Halen. I saw them every tour that they did Vancouver, and then when we were in Vegas, they've got the Best of All Worlds residency over at the MGM.
I'd like to see that.
Me too.
That I would like to see.
Mm-hmm. I think Satriani's playing guitar, and then Michael Anthony bass, and then Sammy singing.
Meant to correct you, not to scold you, meant to correct you.
Yeah.
Love Walks In is all about aliens. You had it being about something else the other night when you were on the...
Did I?
Yeah.
That's weird because I'm like a total Van Halen fan.
Yeah. It's
I'm
all,
like,
it's all
all right.
about the aliens.
Yeah.
You're about some ghost or something like that? His family member? Yeah.
No. We had talked about the book and how Sammy Hagar... Yes, I understand where you're going. Yeah. Love Walks In was about the aliens, but the family member, that's how it hit him, was when his dad died. He was in somewhere else and living in another part of the country, and his dad walked into his apartment, and Sammy was like, and he just went whoosh, and floated on through. He goes, my dad just passed away.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what you meant. I mixed it up.
No, that's okay.
I
Because
just wanted to be a dick.
That's
you know
okay.
what I'm saying?
That's why I love you, man.
Yeah. Apparently, I just wanted to be a dick. Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, here's I adjusted the knobby things.
Oh, don't get technical.
Let's see if it's still clicking. I'm going to flip out if it's still clicking.
Okay, I got to leave.
No, you got to be here because you're
Ground you.
you're good with this stuff. Let's take a listen. Hold on, it's loading.
Okay.
Like my pots are almost down.
Really?
Yeah, they're at about 15.
I wonder if the Behringer's just knocking on heaven's door. Yeah, like the way I did
Nice, very nice, very nice. We're gonna know here in a
that.
second.
All right.
How did this all begin?
Okay, that's an interesting story. Now, we kept this totally secret
No clicking.
until January of
And no day flipping out.
there is, for example, I can.
I can
That's awesome.
stop. I can boost this a little bit. Amplify. Let's go to 200. Oh, do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do.
Dirt, 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 dirt.
Do 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 do.
Dirt, 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 dirt.
Do 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 do.
Dirt, 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 dirt.
Do 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 do.
I don't know what the hell that was about.
I don't know. It just felt right,
It did.
you know.
Oh my gosh. What?
Just why we did that.
I don't know. Really?
Mm-hmm. Anything to bug Rob G.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Look at Rob. Another episode of Dave Screws Up the Spreaker Stream.
Brought to you by
Brought to you by
Alpo.
Sweet Robin G's Red Chin Hair. It comes in red, or red. Your choice of colors. Check out that hair stolen straight from Ronald McDonald himself.
Also brought to you by the Waffle House.
Uh-huh.
Don't forget your tip your waitress. Just don't knock her over. All right.
God. That's funny. Rob says he's clipping that.
No.
Yeah. Go for it, Sweets. I'll wait till you get to meet Sweets. I'm excited. Dude.
Oh, me too.
Dude is awesome. Honestly, he is awesome. Has a gas problem, but
That's okay.
absolutely awesome. Like you're sitting at the bar and all of a sudden he's a leaner, eh?
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Just lets her rip.
Oh, he's just a leaner.
That
But
boy.
he tries it. It's one of those like cover up leans, you know, like
Contemplation lean.
you know, kind of thing.
One cheek sneak.
Oh yeah. You gotta be careful with Rob that way. You do. Got to be careful with him.
Yeah. No, I'm
It's just when
looking
you
for
think you're in an in-depth conversation,
he gasses you.
he's ripping ass.
So, Rob, how'd you get into this? Well, it was longer.
That's exactly it. So, Rob, tell us about your UFO sighting. Well, it happened a little while ago. Right? Oh, yeah. God. Can you believe there's people out there who absolutely do not like farting humor?
Why?
I don't know.
Farting humor.
If I'm having a bad day at work, I always go on Jack Vale's
Yeah.
channel on YouTube with him farting at Walmart.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, ripped one on the air last night.
No, last night I didn't.
No, that was Filth, probably. Oh my god.
Oh, you can't make this up sometimes.
Nope. No.
Yes. Sweet Robbie G with his vape pen.
Oh, yeah.
All of a sudden takes an inhale. Oh,
Right
my
on.
coil's acting up.
Right.
My coil's acting up.
You smell that? Burnt my coil. Dry. Yeah, dry puff.
Oh, God.
Those suck.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Starting to get goofy.
Oh, man. It's close to vacation time when
Oh yeah.
I can't wait to get down there.
Yeah, no
I
kidding.
can't wait.
No kidding.
And just for the record, I talked to Merle.
Merle.
Yeah, he was down in Washington State.
Yeah.
About 10 days previous down in Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
There is no problem crossing the border, people.
No.
Okay, no problem whatsoever.
It will be fine.
Yeah.
Plus, it's Vegas. It'll be better than fine.
Well, San Francisco first.
Yeah. And then where are you going after San Fran?
Nebraska? Nebraska.
That's what it does.
And then after Nebraska, Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully I get my income tax by then. You know when you're in between paydays?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Where you just get paid and like 2 days later you're already broke. God, I hate when that happens.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Forgot the old mortgage payment was coming out today.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go, damn, all right. Put some of that over my savings, do some of that.
Yeah, it's gonna be, we got enough. And then
Yeah,
boom.
Yeah. It's like, oh damn, I forgot about that.
Uh-huh. Dude.
Oh. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm addicted to your wife's turkey cranberry sandwiches.
Those are so good.
Yeah.
I still like I still say my favorite is the roast beef one that she makes, but those turkey ones are dang good.
Yeah, that's a good sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
I texted her today. I'm like, any turkey sandwiches? Like she's always, because she's my massage therapist too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I get a text message every morning. How's your body feeling? Are
Oh
you
yeah.
sore in those places? Look, I don't worry about my freaking body. Just tell me, do you got them turkey sandwiches going here?
That's right. My tummy is more important.
All right. You got them. Look at this crap from Rob.
What's that? I can't
Canadian Problems featuring El Ovni and Phantasmo, aka Dave and Tim.
Kind of getting tired of being lumped in with those idiots.
You know what? That hurts.
I think so.
We're nice and polite to the audience.
When's Rob's contract up?
Oh God,
He's
freaking day by day right now.
Is
with
he?
comments like that?
We bug because we love.
Mm-hmm. I don't even know where people think. Why do they even think that crap?
Yeah, we got way more class.
Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah, Hillbilly Herb. You throw it's turkey, Swiss cheese
with a cranberry aioli,
and onions.
Yes,
it's the perfect sandwich.
It's really nice.
It's not overloaded.
Mm-mm.
It's literally the perfect sandwich.
Yeah, because she uses the Spanish onions too, but she cuts them like freaking tissue thin, and you don't get that hot bite. It just yeah. Actually, I got one in the fridge at home.
Next time, check El Ovni and El Phantasmo for ankle tattoos.
Why do they have?
Why would they have? Why would I search another man's ankles?
Let's check their ankles.
That just sounds really creepy, Rob.
Yeah, Rob. That's creepy,
How
Rob.
degenerate are you?
Robbie Redbeard.
Guaranteed, Rob G. When he was probably
no,
let's go back about 20 years here. Guarantee he was doing the Degeneration X crotch chop.
Oh,
yeah, he'd go around the shopping mall. Hey, kid, get out of my way. Screw you, man. Bang. Right? Oh, yeah. Total Rob G move. Total Rob G move. You got to admit that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm ancient, man. I don't even know what that crap is.
I got a buddy of mine, Pete, right? Pete and I worked in radio together.
Mm-hmm.
You know what Pete did one time at a Canucks game?
No.
Started the wave.
Started the wave?
Yeah. Like he was the guy running down the stairs as like a 14, 15-year-old kid to get everybody doing the wave.
Uh-huh.
Look, the wave is fun.
Sure it is.
It's great. Like when the wave comes by, you have to participate.
And you do.
But you never want to be the guy who starts it.
No.
You know?
No.
You never want to be that guy.
No.
You know, hey, all of you. Right?
Know, right?
You don't want to be that guy.
No. It's fun to do, but yeah, you're right. I don't want to be the leader of the band.
Uh-huh. Yep.
I used to like when Crazy George started it.
Yeah, but that was good. It's good when a mascot
right?
does it. But there's always that guy who has to be the show off.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. Who has to try and get it going. You don't be that guy who wants to do the wave.
And his wife or his girlfriend or whatever's doing one of these.
Oh, totally. Totally.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's awesome.
T-Bone, did you know the Green Men were actually in Vancouver sports radio? It was a total setup.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's horrible.
Oh, is that how he got Robson's job? He had to go dress up in a green.
Right.
As a green guy for a while.
Still trying to figure out the ankle thing on Rob. What are you looking for? What are those police ankle bracelets?
Yeah,
probably those idiots have them.
No doubt. Monitors, that's it. Yeah,
the ankle monitors. That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Big thank you to T-Bone, Gizmo, Human Carl, and Walter for the super chats tonight. Greatly appreciate your love and support, everybody. Tomorrow night on the show, Carl Crusher will be here.
Good.
We're going to have a great time with him talking about some very important topics that we don't normally talk about on this show. So you're definitely going to want to check it on out. I will see you tomorrow night. Sweet Robbie G will be here Friday with R. Keith Andrews. And we got to get extra small Lee Strauss on for hour 3.
Yes.
And then Monday he will be here covering me for Lloyd Auerbach, a legend in the field. Lloyd Auerbach. Sweet Robbie G will have him. All right, guys. Thank you very much. We will see you all tomorrow night. Much love and much support from all of us here. See you tomorrow.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.